Hello and welcome to the second session that we're doing here today for the review of the Qatar Grand Prix FP1. So what a session that was. Certainly a very interesting one there, with Max Verstappen topping the leaderboard out in the session. We saw, though, as drivers made their way around the track for the first session, it was really quite dusty out there on circuit, and they really struggled for lap time until the track really started to evolve in the last few hours of light out in Qatar at this Losail International Circuit. It's been a very interesting session, of course, with, as I said, Max Verstappen taking that top spot on a set of on a set of softs with a 1:27.428. Something that was really catching out all the drivers, though, around this circuit will certainly be track limits, and it's something that we're going to have to look at for this session this evening, with, of course, the track limits going to make a massive difference in the qualifying. Of course, as I say, later this evening, it's going to be quite difficult for drivers. We had a lot of wind gusts that were pushing over the track limits, and if you go over the track limits, you're going to have your track time deleted, so you have to be quite careful with that, though. To make our way through the top 20, we had Max Verstappen finishing in P1, Carlos Sainz in P2, Charles Leclerc then in P3. Fernando Alonso made his way into P4, with Sergio Perez finishing quite a bit behind his teammate in P5 with a 1:28.017. Max Verstappen, of course, with a 1:27.4. We then had Yuki Tsunoda in P6, Nico Hülkenberg P7th, Russell in 8th, Piastri 9th, Lando Norris finishing in 10th behind his teammate, Piastri having a great day out here in Qatar. Then we had Sargent in P11 ahead of his teammate, Alex Albon, Lewis Hamilton 13th, Stroll in 14th, Esteban Ocon in 15th, Pierre Gasly in 16th, Bottas in 17th, Zhou in 18th, and Lawson 19th, with Kevin Magnussen all the way at the bottom of the grid down in P20. Well, it was a very interesting session, and yeah, we certainly are looking forward to this qualifying session later this evening. I think that we have a very competitive Mercedes car, especially for the race on Sunday. Their car was looking extremely fast on the set of soft, or not set of softs, the set of hards that they ran for the majority of the session while it was still sunny out here. Of course, it's difficult to know if you can take what you saw in this FP1 session seriously, because all of our sessions that are going to be taking place throughout the rest of this race weekend are going to be at night. Of course, the sprint shootout tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon will be around the same time as this, but yeah, you can't really take what you're going to see that we saw in these free practice 1 sessions into the race, because the temperature is going to be so much lower, the degradation is going to be so much lower, and I think we're going to see some really competitive Mercedes, maybe some competitive Ferraris, as they now have gotten to the bottom of their degradation issues on Ferrari. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what does happen. That has been it from me, though, here. Very exciting to get ahead of this qualifying session later this evening. I'm certainly hoping that all of you will join us for that session, and we really are excited to seeing you there. But that has been it from me here on Forever Motorsports. We're going to take you to our build-up package now ahead of the qualifying session here in Qatar. Do be sure to stick around, and we will see you in about just under 2 hours' time. Very excited to get going for that, but thanks again for watching here with me. I've been Reece. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports for another daily Formula 1 news video here on the Forever Motorsports channel. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe before we get underway here for this live news video. A lot to talk about today. First off though, Apple are considering or have already made an eye-watering bid for Formula 1's global broadcasting rights. Apple's potential monumental bid for Formula 1's global television rights under pressure at Red Bull, having scored only a little over half the number of points his teammate has mustered this season. The Mexican currently trailing 177 points, despite having what is comfortably the best car in the field. Sources have suggested, though, that Ricciardo would be Red Bull's favoured driver to replace Perez if required, either mid-season or at the end of the 2024 campaign. While Perez secured 2 Grand Prix victories earlier in 2023, the mounting pressure on him has, I don't know where he got any victories. Perez, not Ricciardo. While Perez secured 2 Grand Prix victories earlier in 2023, the mounting pressure on him has intensified, particularly with Ricciardo's return to the grid. Ricciardo's return to Formula 1 after being dropped by McLaren last season, with his ultimate goal being to secure a seat with Red Bull. Perez's contract with Red Bull now expires at the end of 2024, posing a significant decision for the team on whether to retain him as Max Verstappen's teammate or to bring in his former teammate Daniel Ricciardo. The dynamic between Perez and Verstappen has been occasionally turbulent, further complicating Perez's future with the team. Could this cause an upset, though, in the Red Bull team to oust Perez mid-season if he doesn't continue to perform next season? We'll have to wait and see, because I think he's been doing alright this season. Max Verstappen is just on a completely other level. And, of course, Perez has had some troublesome weekends with the likes of some crashes in qualifying, some crashes in the race, as well as just not having the same pace that his teammate Max Verstappen has had at certain tracks. It's been disappointing. We'd want to see Sergio Perez doing really well in that Red Bull car. I'd love to see him fighting for a world championship with Max Verstappen. I was really hoping that this season would get a title challenge at the likes of Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton of the past, but it wasn't meant to be, unfortunately, this season, as we have had Max Verstappen just completely dominating his teammate and the rest of the grid. And yeah, it's thrown up a lot of question marks about Sergio Perez, whether he will be able to stay in that team come the future, because Red Bull do seem to be just getting a little bit antsy with him not being able to match his teammate. And we've seen, though, that it is just so difficult to match Max Verstappen. He's gone through so many teammates in the past. Perez did quite well last season to act as a rear gunner for Red Bull, and he's been doing really well as a rear gunner once again this year. But in certain races, as I've said already, he just has been a little bit lost. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, though, what does happen with Sergio Perez. As now, the next Formula 1 rumour we are talking about, Formula 1 rumours, the FIA have made a last-minute change to the Qatar Grand Prix after multiple drivers' offences. An innovative compromise induced introduction of concrete slabs aiming to strategically enforce track limits at the reimagined Losail International Circuit during the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix. Emerging details reveal a fresh approach to managing track limits at the Qatar Grand Prix, utilising concrete slabs designed to deter drivers from exploiting circuit boundaries. The measure, prompted by an ongoing dilemma surrounding track limits and following an intriguing discourse between the FIA and FIM, which is the Moto GP governing body, embeds a unique solution at the Losail International Circuit. As the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix, marking the first in a decade-long contract, looms on the horizon, all eyes have been drawn to an unexpected last-minute alteration at the Losail Circuit. Since Formula 1's inaugural visit in 2021, which memorably was won by Lewis Hamilton, the circuit has witnessed extensive modifications to meet the rigorous demands of hosting long-term Formula 1 actions. But it is a distinctive change concerning track limits that has caught attention ahead of a race where Max Verstappen, after a triumphant victory in Japan, is considered to be the predominant favourite. According to news articles, the new track limit enforces innovative concrete blocks have been installed behind curbs at crucial corners. These blocks present a dual surface, one smooth, the other rendered coarse by solidified gravel, envisioned to dissuade drivers from crossing over them, thereby maintaining respect for track limits. The initiative was born out of a divergent viewpoint between Formula One's governing body, the FIA, and MotoGP's governing body entity, the FIA. The FIA championed for gravel traps enveloping the runoff areas, while the FIA proposed asphalt strips preceding the gravel. The ultimate decision saw the circuit choosing from FIM's asphalt suggestion, devising a compromise for Formula One in the form of the newly integrated concrete blocks. So we'll have to wait and see though if this does allow the teams or the drivers to stop going over those track limits there, as the Losail Circuit is set to debut those new concrete blocks this next weekend out in Qatar, as it is once again a race week here this week. I completely forgot that it was a race week, but we do have once again the Qatar Grand Prix making its debut after a year hiatus, of course, because of the Qatar FIFA World Cup. They do though join once again this year, and they are going to be on the calendar for, I think it's another 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, as Formula One have signed them on a multi-year contract to bring Formula One to Qatar. Yeah, very interesting though that this is the compromise or the way that teams are or that the FIA is going about trying to dissuade drivers from going over the track limits. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's the safest way, because we've seen in the past those concrete blocks and sausage curbs can be quite dangerous. We've had drivers like, I think it was, her name is just gone out of my mind now, but we've seen in the past in Australia, or not Australia, in Austin, America, where I think it was not Jessica Hawkins, but one of the Formula or the W Series drivers went over one of those sausage curbs and broke her back. Because of the aggressiveness of that. We don't want to see that happening. We don't want to see drivers being hurt because of aggressive curbs and other things like that. But hopefully it does dissuade drivers from going over the track limits. We'll see though whether that does help this weekend. I'm sure the teams will be wanting to stay very far away from that for sure. As we move on to our next article here, Mercedes fears that it has lost their race day Formula One tyre edge over Ferrari. Mercedes suspects that its tyre advantage over their main Formula One rival, Ferrari, has been wiped away thanks to the progress that their Italian squad has made recently. In the early phase of the season, the Mercedes team would have the edge in races because its W14 car was much less harsh on its tyres than the Ferrari team. However, as Ferrari has made gains in the understanding of its car in 2023, and why it was so hard on its rubber early on, its race pace has improved dramatically. And with that, the two teams now are locked in a fight for the runners-up in the Constructors' Championship, which has now switched in team characteristics, and could prove critical as their fight plays out over the remaining 6 races of the campaign. At the recent Japanese Grand Prix, where tyre degradation was a critical factor in deciding the pace on Sunday, Ferrari showed how on top of things it was, as Charles Leclerc finished ahead of Mercedes and their lead car of Lewis Hamilton. This was a result that Mercedes trackside engineer and director Andrew Chauvelin believed proved that the Ferrari was no longer behind with its management on tyre degradation. Chauvelin reckoned that Mercedes' lack of performance over the Japanese Grand Prix weekend was down to a simple lack of downforce. I think the performance deficit was there in qualifying. We have a little bit less performance through the fast corners. It's the same thing that was costing us in the race, he said. I think really this track is all about how much grip you have in the fast corners. A little bit, or a lot of that will be downforce, and we do need to look at where a little bit, and we do look like we are a little bit behind in that regard to Ferrari. Ferrari did bring an upgraded floor, so maybe they've moved forward. But I think if we look at some of our recent tracks, that advantage we have had with degradation, it's not as evident now in the season as it was in the earlier races. Speaking at the Japanese Grand Prix, Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur acknowledged that his squad had made good gains improving its tyre management, considering what it showed in the race. It's sure if you have to look at the first couple of races. of the season, the degradation or the time management were not always our greatest skill, he said. Coming to Suzuka though, with this track temperature, we were a little bit at risk, but at the end of the day, I think we did a good job on the side. The race was under control. The strategy was well managed. We did well. A clear step forward compared to the first part of the season. And certainly it has been a major step forward since the beginning of the season, where they just completely fell away in races. I mean, that's why they were down in 5th in the Constructors' Championship at one point, because they just had terrible race days when, of course, all the points were scored. They just had absolutely horrific tyre degradation, which meant that their strategies were constantly compromised. They weren't able to follow closely with other cars and weren't able to challenge for podium positions. And now that they've been able to understand a little bit better and hit the ground running a little bit more with their tyre degradation being a little bit more under control, it's really allowed them to get a lot closer to the Mercedes and challenge them. We've seen them take a race win in Singapore. We've seen them get really close now in Japan as well. And what could they do throughout the rest of the season? Certainly the Ferraris are going to be one of the teams to keep looking at. They're going to be wanting to take away that second position in the Constructors' Championship away from Mercedes. That is their goal for the rest of the season. It's going to be difficult, but if Mercedes keep dropping the ball a little bit, it could fall into the hands of Ferrari. Look at our comment section and seeing what you guys are all saying there. Just do be sure to keep dropping us comments and letting us know what you feel as we move on to our next article here that say McLaren are eager to avoid any more Norris and Piastri Formula 1 team orders. McLaren wants to avoid the need for imposing any more team orders on its Formula 1 drivers after again intervening between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri in Japan. With its two drivers on slightly offset strategies at Suzuka, McLaren had to ask Piastri to let Norris through at one point to ensure that they did not waste time fighting each other and risk squandering the team's prospects for a double podium finish. The latest call to get the drivers help from each other came after similar team orders requests at the Hungarian Grand Prix as well as the Italian Grand Prix. McLaren boss Andrea Stella has no doubt that the team has done the right thing in swapping its drivers around when needed though. But he accepts it is something that he is not eager to happen all the time. Asked how the Japan call compared to those made in Hungary and Italy, Stella said, "It was much easier, in a way, as to those situations which were stressful, especially the one in Monza. And when I say stressful, I mean stressful, because we created stress between our two drivers. We could have avoided that, really. That's something that we reviewed. It may happen again in the future, but when it is avoidable, we should avoid it." In this case, the approach was, let's see how fast Lando is closing, and let's see if overtaking comes naturally. When we saw that it doesn't come so naturally, then we asked the drivers to swap, so that we wouldn't lose the race time for both. Stella thinks that the pace between Norris and Piastri in the Japanese Grand Prix at the stage of the race, when the team had to intervene, was exaggerated by the excessive tyre degradation. In a race like this, every lap of tyre that you save, so if you pit one lap later than somebody else, you gain 1/10, added Stella. Lando at this stage pitted 6 laps later than Piastri, so his car is automatically 6/10 quicker than any other car. Also, in addition to that, I have to say that Lando's pace was very good in absolute terms. And if anything, we have to look at Oscar, at where he could have gained the 1 or 2 tenths overall pace that seemed to lack compared to Lando. Interesting to see that they're not wanting to have these team orders too much more in the future. We don't really disagree with them all too much because it can really provide some tricky situations for teammates and could provide some crashes as well. We've seen it in the past between, them. They had a bit of a crash there in Monza. They bumped wheels, fortunately not causing any damage, but we don't want to see them getting too close and having those issues during races because, of course, that just causes major headaches on the team wall there between all of the management at McLaren. We've seen this though in the past as well with other teams. Mercedes also recently in, I think it was Singapore, as well as now this last weekend out in Japan. Their drivers were fighting, but you kind of sometimes have to let them fight out on track. But other times when the team can see that their pace is so much different and one driver has a much faster pace than the other, you do just have to enforce team orders and say, come guys now, Lando is faster than you, let's just let him go through, and if he can't make any big changes in the end of the race, then we'll swap once again. But yeah, very interesting to see that McLaren are just saying that they're not too upset about the fact that they're having to make these team orders, but they would like to minimize that in the future. Just looking at some updates on the 2026 regulations, though, that have been released here. There's just been a few more updates on that, as been released by Red Bull Racing Daily on Twitter. 30 kilograms of fuel is to be used to charge the battery of the Formula 1 car, with the width reduced from 190 centimeters to from 200 centimeters, as well as the wheelbase length is going to be reduced to 340 centimeters from 360. A reduction to 330 centimeters is possible, but the teams have to show resistances, or have shown resistances towards it. A 40% reduction in downforce is also expected, as well as overtaking should become easier without the use of artificial aids, probably reducing the likes of DRS as well as the ERS that comes into play. I'm really looking forward to the 2026 regulations. I'm hoping that the cars get a lot smaller, because that will allow closer racing, as well as closer racing on certain circuits, such as street circuits like Monaco, Azerbaijan. We want to see closer racing between these cars. We want to see smaller cars. We want to see the noise of these cars being brought up as well. There's, of course, a big engine regulations change coming in 2026. There's been a big freeze up until then for the regulations, but whether we'll see major upsets coming from those regulation changes, of course, Audi makes their way into sports that season. I'm really looking forward to 2026. It's really looking like that season is going to be an absolute cracker for all of us. And we sure do hope that all of you guys will be joining us for all of that as well. But that has been it for me here today on Forever Motorsport. Thank you very much for joining me. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy all of the content that we are bringing out to you guys. There will be a whole bunch of short form content being brought to you throughout the day as well. Please do be sure to hit that like button, and do be sure to hit that notification bell icon to get notifications from us when we do upload on this channel. Thank you very much, though, for joining us here today. I have been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports, here for another daily Formula 1 news video. And once again, a lot to talk about, as you've already seen in our poll that is asking you guys, do you think Alpine will be able to resolve their infighting and return to the top of the Formula 1 field? If you have not voted in that poll, please do be sure to go and cast your vote there for that. And let us know what you think about Alpine. We'll go straight in, though, with that news about Alpine. The Alpine Formula 1 CEO reveals his plan to fix a huge amount of internal issues at Alpine. The Alpine CEO, Luca Di Maio, has outlined a clear plan to address significant problems within his Formula 1 team. The French outfit began the latest regulation changes in a reasonable fashion last year, establishing themselves as the best of the rest. Despite reliability presenting itself as a clear weakness, Alpine had a strong foundation to build upon for 2023. However, the team's aspirations to fight at the front failed to materialize over the winter break. From day one in pre-season, the A523 proved to be relatively uncompetitive. Despite the quiet confidence shown by Otmar Safnauer in interviews, there were few signs that Alpine would be world beaters in Bahrain. Pierre Gasly's P9 finish was a strong recovery from qualifying, validating the early consensus. Still, later events in Australia and Miami provided some optimism for the team. and that they could pull themselves somehow up the field. Under certain conditions, the French team was capable of giving the likes of Aston Martin something to worry about. Although a fantastic weekend in Monaco provided further encouragement, the A523 has shown little promise since then. Whilst the car is relatively compliant in terms of handling, it lacks the performance to compete for major honours. With Ocon and Gasly having both managed exceptional podiums in 2023, but these have been anomalies in the results. Furthermore, the mid-season development at McLaren has served as a magnifying glass for the lack of progress at Enstone. However, despite the reality of Alpine's situation, it was only 18 months ago that CEO Laurent Rossi outlined the team's 5-year plan. The team's high-ranking personnel all seemed convinced that this timeline was appropriate. Therefore, Alpine's pace this year shouldn't have triggered any significant alarm within the squad, at least in theory. As the first races were completed, however, internal frustrations soon began to surface. Laurent Rossi began the 2023 campaign with a series of criticisms towards the team. The Frenchman then listed a variety of grievances, seemingly dissatisfied with the team's progress. In response, albeit via interactions with the media, team principal Otmar Szafnauer made clear that success in Formula 1 cannot be rushed. Evidently, there were internal disagreements. Not too long after this exchange, during the Belgium Grand Prix weekend, the dismissal of Szafnauer and Permain was announced. Whilst there were clear elements of confusion and uncertainty, one thing soon became clear. The widely discussed 5-year plan was no longer viable. Luca De Meo and the other senior personnel at Alpine have set goals for more immediate success though. In a speech given at Enstone, broadcast in the factory as well in Vieri, De Meo outlined a series of changes. A range of topics were discussed by the Renault CEO, which had been discussed by both L'Equipe and Motorsport Total. De Meo had made things clear that the old ways of thinking will no longer be tolerated in the team. And Alpine will be working towards a fresh approach and increased collaboration between the Enstone team and the Viral team as well. As previously, there have been instances of clear division between the English and French departments in the team. An example of this tension takes place during race weekends, where the team's English and French personnel have been known to book separate hotels. At a constructor that manufactures its own engines, this lack of chemistry is detrimental. Alpine has received plenty of criticism for the unreliability of their engines as well, especially during the 2022 season. In addition to reliability, the French power unit provides less horsepower than Mercedes, Honda, or their Ferrari counterparts. However, it is no secret that Alpine has deficiencies in various areas. Excuses are also becoming increasingly difficult to accept in modern Formula 1, as proven by Aston Martin and McLaren. Internal cohesion and innovation will be rewarded out on track. Alpine will benefit instantly, or at least optically, from less noise in Formula 1. The scrutiny surrounding the outfit has impacted their Formula 1 performance negatively. With that said, Bruno Famin and his technical team must work efficiently to bridge the gap to the Ferrari team. So really interesting to hear all of this coming out about Alpine this year. We don't necessarily know, I didn't necessarily know about all of these internal struggles and internal divisions between the team. And it's certainly very interesting to hear about the fact that the English department of the team, of course, which are based in the UK, and the French department, of course, based in their home country, don't get along well. And for them to even book separate hotels is completely unheard of in Formula 1. Normally the teams all travel together, they spend a lot of time together. Normally they get along like a big family, and to hear that there's such big divisions in a team is unprecedented, and I really do hope that they're able to sort out all of these issues, because we don't want Alpine to be relinquished to the back of the grid yet again. As I see we have a couple more people voting in that poll now, with 67% saying that they're going to be able to jump back to the top of the Formula 1 grid, and 33% saying that they're not going to be able to fix their internal issues. Yeah, very interesting there, that is for sure. As we move on to another article now, and I'm going to change that poll that we have up there. Let me quickly end that. And I'm going to start a new poll for you. Just asking, who do you think Andretti will choose to drive for their team in 2025 or 2026? Of course, this is all speculative because we don't know if not Alpine, Andretti are going to be on the grid in 2025 or 2026. We're still waiting for the approval of the Formula One management, but the FIA has at least accepted their bid to be the 11th team on the Formula One grid. We're going to be speaking about them next in our next article, so let's go ahead and put in some names. Colton Herta is one of the candidates there. We also have Jamie Chadwick. She is currently racing for them in IndyCar, so of course she is also a option there for 2025 or 2026. And then I'm going to quickly have a look there. Valtteri Bottas was another. Bottas, and then I'm going to put other. If you do vote for other, please do be sure to let us know in the comment section who you are voting for there. And there you have it. So do be sure to vote in that poll that is up now. Who do you think Andretti will choose to drive for them in 2025 or 2026? Your options are Colton Herta, Jamie Chadwick, Valtteri Bottas, and other, which you should let us know in the comments who you want for that seat. So going through this article now, the outstanding candidate for an Andretti drive is currently on the grid. Andretti has been approved by the FIA for an entry slot in Formula One. But who could the drivers be if it agrees terms with Formula One management on commercial matters? Andretti's Formula Racing LLC, to give its proper name, has not been yet granted acceptance to join the Formula One grid, despite the FIA's announcement on October 2nd that it had forwarded the application onto Phase 3. While Formula One's governing body is happy that Andretti Global's bid meets all the relevant criteria, the important Phase 3 sees the team thrashing out financial terms with the commercial rights holder, which is Formula One itself. Bluntly put, if Formula One doesn't, can't, or won't come to an agreement with Andretti, the team won't be on the grid in either 2025 or 2026. Formula One's reactions all through the application process has been rather lukewarm though towards the whole thing, but now comes the time to sit at the table and see what arrangement is possible. If Formula One does eventually agree terms with Andretti, it would much rather see a 2026 entry when the new Concord agreement would be in play, as opposed to the other one that covers the 2021 to 2025 seasons, with just the $200 million anti-dilution fee in that period. Be that as it may, now it has the letter, or should that be press release, from the FIA confirming it is happy. Preparations can now be ramped up with the teams, and that includes figuring out which two squishy bits of organic material will strap themselves into the first Andretti Cadillac Formula One car. Let's take a look at some of the contenders, starting with, yep, you guessed it, Colton Herta. When we spoke about exclusive drivers to Mario Andretti in August, the father of boss Michael reiterated that the fact there would be an American driver in one of the two seats. For this particular reason, 2 plus 2 does not equal 4, but it does equal Colton Herta. In autumn of 2022, Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko tried everything to get Herta a seat in Formula One with AlphaTauri, but his lack of super license points was a stumbling block. For argument's sake, let's say Andretti enters in 2026. The 3-year period for points to count would cover the 2023 to 2025 seasons, with 40 the magical number required to get that super license. In 2023, Herta finished 10th in the IndyCar standings, enough to earn him 1 point, meaning 39 are still required. He will need to finish in the top 3 standings in the next 2 seasons to hit that 40-point mark, with the champion actually receiving the full whack in one go. If he finds himself a few points short, Herta could jump into some Formula 1 free practice 1 sessions if Andretti could find a team willing to do this, to earn some extra points, in the same way Logan Sargent did with Williams in 2022. As it stands over the 2021, 2022 and 23 seasons, Herta has 10 points from his IndyCar commitments, although the 21 Hall of 8 will fall away at the end of the 2024 season. Herta might be the choice Andretti wants, but getting him there may be a very different story altogether. If they are not able to get Herta into that seat, Valtteri Bottas is, of course, a very logical choice. Now, while Andretti certainly has its aspirations to be mixing it with the likes of Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes and McLaren, that is not going to happen straight away. A good first season or two will become a regular point scorer and Q3 fixture, battling away in the midfield for every point. As such, Andretti will require a calm, experienced and knowledgeable head with the front-running experience to help the team grow, but also with the know-how of navigating minefields and the midfield. On the current grid, the standout candidate is of course Valtteri Bottas. He should be number 1 on the shopping list for Andretti come 2025 or 26. When Audi rock up to Sauber in 2026, it is likely that it will want its own high-profile signing to lead the team. Audi is unlikely then to retain Bottas' services, which leaves him either with one option of retirement or getting stuck in and building the Andretti project. Let us not forget that Bottas is an extremely fast driver, one who outqualified Lewis Hamilton at a rate of about 1 in 3 at Mercedes. He has priceless knowledge of a title-winning machine and relevant racing experience of batting away in the midfield, both with Williams and latterly Alfa Romeo. If Bottas is interested in the seat, it is really a no-brainer, and Andretti should be chucking whatever it takes to get the Finn signature on the dotted line. Sergio Perez similarly fits the bill, and he is unlikely to be at Red Bull in 2025 and would be in a similar boat to Bottas, with the opportunity to potentially leave a lasting legacy in Formula 1. Another name that has been speculated with this team is Joseph Newgarden. If Herta fails to get a super license, the next best thing Michael Andretti can do to get an American in the seat is to get on the phone to Roger Penske and ask the captain if he wouldn't awfully mind releasing his star driver for a shot at Formula 1. Newgarden has been linked to Formula 1 before, back in 2017 after wrapping up his first IndyCar title. As the Toro Rosso driver nonsense played out with Daniel Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, Brendan Hartley and Carlos Sainz taking musical chairs to the extreme, Newgarden was touted to be a potential driver for the remaining 4 races of the year. However, he firmly rejected that at the time, believing it would make no sense to trundle around the back of the Formula 1 field. Along with 2021 and 23 champion Alex Palou, Newgarden is arguably one of the top 5 drivers in the world not in Formula 1, and is a devastatingly fast driver on his day. He finally had that Indy 500 win he has craved for so long under his belt, so could the opportunity appeal to drive for an American team in Formula 1? That should certainly be questioned. Probably not, perhaps with an FP1 outing or test day, his hope of getting behind the wheel. And lastly, to take that wheel would be Jamie Chadwick, who was touted to take a seat with another racing team. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Carlin, who were hoping to get into Formula 1. Of course, their bid was denied by the FIA, and now Jamie Chadwick's hopes and dreams of getting into a Formula 1 seat would certainly lie with who she's currently racing with, and that is, of course, Andretti. Perhaps the least likely of all candidates here is Jamie Chadwick, who has been long-listed as the next hope of getting a female driver into Formula 1. She is currently competing in the Indy NXS series with Andretti, but her first season stateside was poor, with a best finish of 6th in Portland and 10th in the standings. Moreover, the points that Chadwick earned for her W Series title success will be wiped by the time of 2026, meaning she would face an almighty battle to secure enough points to earn that vital super license. So, a lot of drivers in the works and in the wings waiting for an Andretti seat, but we'll have to wait and see who that certainly does come in 2025 or 2026 who Andretti decides to take and put into that seat. We have Orville Clisby there in the comment section saying, remember the title battle of, Orville Clisby saying an American driver that comes with no money or that comes with money would certainly be the hopes for Andretti. Of course, there are a lot more American viewerships and a lot more American viewers coming to the sport. So, of course, a lot more American sponsors would be wanting to come on board with an American driver. We'll have to wait and see, though, who will come into the team with Andretti should Formula One management approve their bid to join as Formula One's 11th team in 2025 or 2026. Moving on now to our next article, and we have spoken about it at length in the last few weeks, about Daniel Ricciardo and when he will be joining the Formula One grid yet again because of that broken hand of his. And now another article coming out saying the Ricciardo decision has been made ahead of the Qatar Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo is still not yet fit enough to return to AlphaTauri at the Qatar Grand Prix, meaning that Liam Lawson will once again step up this weekend. Red Bull reserve driver Liam Lawson was drafted in to fill Ricciardo's seat after he sustained a hand injury during a practice session ahead of the Dutch Grand Prix. Ricciardo had initially targeted a potential comeback in Singapore, but upon further reflection, then shifted his focus to climbing behind the wheel in Qatar. However, now, journalist Chris Medland has reported that the Australian is making steady progress in the simulator, but still isn't yet at 100% fitness. As a result, he has now set sights on a likely return at the United States Grand Prix, indicating that this upcoming race in Qatar will likely be the last for Lawson. Lawson has impressed the paddock after securing his first ever Formula One points haul at the Singapore Grand Prix, and has also consistently outperformed his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who has been guaranteed a seat for next year. But despite receiving praise from Red Bull, he fell short of securing a 2024 spot, with Ricciardo also confirmed to have cemented his position at AlphaTauri in 2024. Currently, only one seat is available at Williams, but it is believed that Lawson will continue as a Red Bull reserve driver, provided he is guaranteed a 2025 promotion. Ricciardo replaced Nick de Vries after just 10 races in the season, with the expectation that the move positioned him on a path to potentially be reclaiming that Red Bull seat from the struggling Sergio Perez. However, now with the speculation that Perez could possibly lose the seat to Ricciardo after a series of underwhelming results, Lawson could well return to the grid earlier than expected. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. We don't think that Perez will lose the seat before the end of this year, but there is a lot of speculation that if he does not up his pace for 2024, he could lose his seat mid-season as well, following on the trend of Nick de Vries. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that seat. Sad to hear that Daniel Ricciardo is not going to be sitting in the seat this weekend, of course, in Qatar. There were maybe some speculations that he might sit in the FP1 session, but if he wasn't fit enough in that FP1 session to go throughout the rest of the weekend, then of course that would really put Liam Lawson on the back foot, because it is a sprint race weekend, which means that there's only one practice session. Of course, on the Friday you've got FP1, then you've got qualifying in the evening, then sprint qualifying on Saturday morning, sprint race on the afternoon, and then of course the race on Sunday. So you really need that first practice session to get to grips with this track, and it's a really difficult track, really high speed. We will be getting up a track guide a little bit later in the week for you guys. I'm hoping to finish that tomorrow and get that up for you. But now, moving on to our next article, James Key is in the... Alfa Romeo's Joe Guanyu has said James Key's arrival at the Formula One team is a refreshing one, as the former McLaren boss is tasked with delivering a big step in 2024. Alfa Romeo has been languishing near the rear of the midfield with a 2023 car that has lacked overall aerodynamic performance. It has restricted the team to just 10 points so far, 2 points behind fellow strugglers Haas, while seeing Alex Albon and Williams break free as the clear favourites to finish 7th and 8 points ahead. Alfa's disappointing season so far is prompting major changes to its car. The project, which has been overseen by an incoming technical director, James Key, who has been headhunted by his former McLaren boss, Andreas Seidel, to lead the car development, as the Sauber team's transitions into the Audi Works squad by 2026. Zhou, who has recently re-signed with the team for a third season, said Key's arrival has been a boost for the team in its quest to take major gains. It is very refreshing for the team in general, Zhou told reporters. The atmosphere doesn't change massively, but the way how we bring in new people. James works very closely with Andreas, which is in a nice way, because Andreas is going to lead the Works team in the future, so it sounds super exciting. I had a lot of meetings with James as well. He was quite happy to hear the drivers, as well as giving feedback, which is very clear just to be moving forward and to improve. It is what we need to make bigger changes for the 2024 package and make a bigger step. So I think that with James here in the future, we can definitely be heading in a direction that is a lot better. Alpha's head of trackside engineering, Xavier Pujola, admitted that the team's 2023 season has shown that the team's car needs a major overhaul to avoid being stuck in no man's land for next season. Our mindset is to take a big step, otherwise we'll get stuck where we are. James is really working hard on next year's car, but obviously he's looking at what we've got now and helping in any area that we can to improve in the short term, which we want to do because P7 is still our target. To that end, Alpha will continue to develop its 2023 car all the way to the penultimate round in Las Vegas in the middle of November. Very interesting to see that the introduction of that new key member in AlphaRomeo is starting to ramp up their development for next season, as well as trying to get that development for this car a lot better as well, because of course if they can get the basis of this current car, they can really maybe hit the ground running a lot better next season with a lot more understanding. Yeah, very interesting. I have a bunch of you guys talking about the Battle of Napoleon. He says, I remember the title Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon lost because Latifi crashed into him, says Mark's box. And he also says they'd bring back Danny Rick. He should be back very soon in Austin, which is the next race after the Qatar Grand Prix. And yeah, hopefully we will get a refreshed and a much fitter Danny Rick back in that car. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Our next two articles are about Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen has admitted that while breaking historical records is great, his career focus is winning the Drivers' Championship and achieving with his team. The recent dominance of Verstappen needs no introduction. A total of 38 wins from the last 60 Grand Prix by the Dutchman alone highlights his level of success. Along the way, the Red Bull centerpiece has naturally conquered some of Formula One's storied records, his crown and glory being the most consecutive races won in a row, which is now 10, beating the previous record of Sebastian Vettel with 9. Despite these achievements, Verstappen still values the world title more than any other record. While speaking on the Red Bull podcast, the reigning champion explained his thinking behind the lust for the Drivers' Championship over anything else. It's good, but at the other end, I'm not too focused about it. I just want to do the best I can every single time I'm in the car. And if that means that you break a record, okay, great. But it's more important that you're doing and achieving. At the end of the day, my goal this year is to win the championship. He was also asked which Grand Prix he considers his favourite. However, once again, Verstappen opted to refer to his current team's success at the back-to-back constructors titles achieved with Red Bull. My first race win in Formula 1, I think that was pretty special, but also the races we are achieving now as a team, being that competitive, is honestly very enjoyable to be a part of. While Verstappen is enjoying one of the greatest individual periods of success in Formula 1 history, the 26-year-old is very aware of just how quickly that things can change. I'm not afraid of losing. I hate losing, but that's also a part of the game, he said. At the end of the day, you lose more than you win. I've lost a lot also before winning in Formula 1. I've been through the stage of not being able to win, and now that we are winning, you just have to enjoy the moment and enjoy it while it lasts. When asked what the key was to his recent championship runs, the Red Bull driver cited that his consistency as the biggest skill he bears over his rivals. You have to be very consistent over a season, he said, and you cannot really have off days and off weekends. You have to be on it all the time. That's not always easy to achieve. Sometimes weekends they start maybe a bit tougher for you, but that's how it is, and you try and get yourself out of a tough situation. Looking towards this weekend, Verstappen is also set to match his father-in-law, 2 nights, and Senna in Qatar, as Max Verstappen only needs a 6th place finish at the Qatar sprint race to seal a 3rd world championship. The Qatar Grand Prix sprint is Max Verstappen's first chance to wrap up his 3rd straight world championship. He has 177 points clear of Sergio Perez, with 180 left on the board for the rest of the championship season, meaning a 6th place finish on Sunday at Losail will be enough to ensure that the trophy stays on his top. That the trophy stays on top his drinks fridge by his sim rig for another year. When Verstappen does win the title, he will become the 11th driver to win 3 or more titles and the 6th to be a triple world champion. On the current list of those he can match, it includes his father-in-law, as well as Sir Jackie Stewart and Ayrton Senna. Not bad company at all then. Currently also on that list is Niki Lauda, Nelson Piquet, of course, which is his father-in-law, and Sir Jack Brabham, who are all triple world champions. Of course, some drivers have gone beyond the magical 3-time threshold, and interestingly, they all have but one. Of course, some drivers have gone beyond the magical 3-time threshold, and interestingly, they all but one have something in common with Verstappen. The drivers listed below, with the exception of Alain Prost, have all won 3 or more titles in a row, with Michael Schumacher's 5 with Ferrari the all-time record. Of course, there's 7 titles with Schumacher, Hamilton with 7, Fangio with 5, Prost with 4, and Vettel with 4 as well. Vettel, of course, doing them all consecutively with 4. Very, very interesting to see what Max Verstappen is doing at the moment in Formula 1. We'll see if he can continue his winning streak in Formula 1 next year in 2024 to continue that consecutive run of championship titles. But this year he has gone pretty much unchecked this entire season. Glad to see in the past few races at least a few more people at least challenging him in the past few races, well, in qualifying at least, not in the races, but we'll have to wait and see what he's able to do throughout the rest of the season. He could, of course, as we've said in this article, take that championship win at the sprint race in Qatar, but should something happen, it could be relegated to the race on Sunday, but we'll have to wait and see, of course, what does happen out in Qatar. Moving on, though, now to a little bit of an update with the 2026 rules. Formula One's 2026 rule details emerge, with smaller cars and 40% less downforce. New information about the 2026 Formula 1 regulations have emerged, with plans to take the cars significantly smaller and lighter. 2026 is fast approaching, with the regulations still yet to be formally finalized. However, a report by a reputable German publication, Auto Motor und Sport, has shed light on changes on the chassis side. So far, a lot of the information in the public sphere has been around the new engines. Formula One's new engine regulation change will take place in 2026, and it seems that Formula One plans have appeased the manufacturers, with Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, Honda, Red Bull and Audi all set to be on the grid. With the automotive industry centered around electric power, it is no surprise to see that the MG UK unit will now be 3 times more powerful than before, moving up from a 120 kilowatt motor to a 350 kilowatt motor generator. On a similar note, the MGU-H has been removed completely for the 2026 rules, allowing for a reduction in costs. They will be run on 100% sustainable fuels, with there being a clear 50-50 split between internal combustion engines and electrical power. Finally, the aim is only for 70 kilograms of fuel in 2026, rather than the 100 kilograms that is currently used in Formula One. Outlined in the report, the FIA are also heavily focused on making the cars lighter, but also smaller. The current Formula One cars weigh an astonishing 798 kilograms, with the new engines and countermeasures expected to take it well above 800. The first step is to reduce the weight by at least 20 kilograms before looking at reducing it further into the regulation cycle. Other changes include the width of the car, reducing to 190 centimeters from 200 centimeters. The wheelbase will also be shortened to at least 340 centimeters, which is currently set at 360 centimeters. Consequently, there will be a 40% loss in downforce from these changes. But of course, as fans, we want to see a reduction in the size of these cars, as well as a reduction in the weight of these cars. This increases the drivability of the cars by the drivers, as well as it increases the competitiveness of these cars and raceability of these cars, which is of course what we want to see as drivers, well, as fans, and I'm sure all of the drivers will also be wanting to have the increased raceability of these cars, because we want to see closer racing between all of the teams. And I think a reduction of aerodynamic efficiency by 40% should also throw a little bit of a span in the works to teams, at least, and puts a bit more the drivability and the handling in the hands of the driver, and really makes it down to skill as to who does fight at the top. And I think that could really make things a lot more interesting for the spectacle of Formula One. Certainly very, very interesting to see all of these regulation changes, and a lot more reports coming out now speaking about it. Hopefully we'll be given a lot more clarification in the upcoming weeks and months by the FIA. But when that does come out, we will be sure to let you know as soon as possible. But thank you very much, though, for joining me here today on Forever Motorsports. It's been quite a lot of news that we have gone through here today. And yeah, thank you to Orville Clisby and Mark Spox there in the comment section for keeping me company as we just look at that poll that was set out there. Who do you think Andretti will choose to drive for them in 2025 or 2026? 50% going for Jamie Chadwick. I'd certainly love to have Jamie Chadwick in the sport. Another female Formula One driver would certainly be a great addition on the Formula One grid. Valtteri Bottas with 25% and another 25% going for other. I don't see anyone letting me know in the comment section. Oh, there, I see Mark saying Mick, damn it. So yeah, we know who Mark is, of course, rooting for there. But nonetheless, thank you very much for joining me here today. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Please do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also do be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified every time we go live and upload a video for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Losail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Losail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting Moto GP events and made its debut on the Formula One calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Losail Circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports, and welcome to another daily Formula 1 news video. A lot to talk about, of course, with our title here today. McLaren sue their driver for $23 million. The Formula 1 team McLaren are suing their driver Alex Palou, a hopeful Formula 1 driver and IndyCar champion, for over $23 million after the Spanish driver backed out over his contract with the motorsport giant. According to the September 29th filing in the High Court of the Justice, Business and Property Courts of England and Wales, Palou has no outstanding obligation under any contract or agreement that would stop him from joining McLaren at the end of the IndyCar season. Palou won the season's IndyCar title by 78 points by his second time in 3 seasons. But McLaren told McLaren this summer that he wouldn't be joining them, sparking a legal battle. The 26-year-old already had been embroiled in one contract battle concerning an agreement to leave Chip Ganassi Racing a year early to join McLaren as an IndyCar and reserve Formula 1 driver, but before a mediation agreement left him able to race for Chip Ganassi Racing, but test for McLaren this year. Palou said about his departure from McLaren, "I agree, it is sad," Palou told NBC last month. "I've always tried to be a nice person and I always thought I was doing the right things. That's how my family taught me how to do stuff, and then suddenly I look like I do everything wrong, that I don't listen, and that I just do whatever I feel like on that day." The money McLaren are seeking is reportedly linked to the sponsorship that they had anticipated to bring in, tied to his involvement with the team, as well as the costs involved in developing him for an F1 seat and an advance on his 2024 salary. In a letter sent to the Arrows Racing employees in August, CEO Zak Brown said Palou has no intention of honouring his contract with the Arrow McLaren team for the 2024 season and beyond. This is incredibly disappointing considering the commitment we have made with him and he has made with us directly and publicly, and the significant investment we have put into him based on that commitment. We've decided and dedicated a lot of money and resources in preparing to welcome Alex into our team because we believed in him, and we were looking forward to achieving IndyCar victories with him. This is certainly sad that Alex Palou has decided to cut ties with McLaren and didn't decide to pursue that career, of course, as a Formula 1 reserve driver with them, as well as heading up their IndyCar team. Yeah, certainly McLaren feel that they are right in their fact that they are pursuing a legal stance against him and trying to recuperate all of that money that they feel they've lost from losing that signing with him. Certainly, yeah, very, very interesting to see there. F1 23 saying, this is crazy. It certainly is. I mean, that's a lot of money to sue a driver for. Of course, Alex Palou, in his own right, should be making quite a lot of money from these deals. But as a team, you don't necessarily anticipate a driver signing with you and then 2-3 months later backing out of that agreement. So they certainly feel that they are justified in the way that they are going about all of this. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the outcome of this are, as well as we're still waiting to see what the outcome of that legal disagreement or legal proceedings with Felipe Massa are. Moving on to the next article though, speaking about Lando Norris. Lando Norris reiterates commitment to McLaren amid Formula 1 speculation. So with one driver having left the McLaren team, we have another one still saying that he is firmly sticking with them for now. Lando Norris is signed to McLaren for another 2 seasons, but has been linked with a move elsewhere on the grid. Lando Norris has though reaffirmed his commitment to McLaren amid speculation that he could seek a move elsewhere in the future. Norris is currently contracted to the Woking-based squad until the end of the 2025 Formula 1 campaign, with McLaren having been Norris's home since the Briton made his debut in 2019, and the duo have enjoyed moderate success together, with Norris scoring his 10th Formula 1 podium last time out in Japan. Earlier this year, Norris sprouted speculation that he could leave McLaren after admitting he would be open to partnering Max Verstappen in Formula 1. Due to Verstappen's current Red Bull dealing and his deal extending to the end of 2028, it would be likely that Norris would have to leave McLaren for the Milton Keynes outfit. I would want to win with McLaren, he says though, but Norris says that he's focused on finding success with McLaren going forward rather than jumping ship to a new team. There are always things every now and then, he told media. I would love to talk about a new McLaren deal. I've always said I want to win with McLaren. I think we're getting closer and closer to achieving that as well. And when not just winning races, but winning championships with both driver and constructor. I want to do it with McLaren, and I'm very, very happy here. So if I was to spend 10 or 15 years there, I'm not ever going to say no. I think that's something I would look forward to. But I'm very much just concentrated on this year, next year, and 2025, when his contract does end. I think that's 2.5 years to try and progress, and we'll see then. But things crop up every now and then, but nothing more than that. Certainly, Lando Norris has really been bringing the team up. They've made massive gains in the last few years. Certainly this year, they weren't looking like they were competitive at the beginning of the season, but they've just really been able to develop that car in the right way, and they've been able to challenge for podiums, challenge for wins at some tracks. I mean, Singapore, they got so close with the Ferraris, of course, not being able to challenge with Carlos Sainz there, unfortunately, but still having a great race there to secure a 2nd place podium finish. And once again, having another, well, not even just a podium finish in Japan, they had a double podium finish in Japan. So once again, phenomenal for the Woking-based outfit. They certainly are doing really well with Lando Norris, and they'll be wanting to hold on to him for the future. But if they're not able to put pen to paper quite soon, I think the likes of Red Bull are going to look to steal him away, because they have really been looking for him in the past few years. They tried to get him to put pen to paper a few years ago. Unfortunately, McLaren quickly swooped Lando Norris away again with another contract extension. But Red Bull are certainly not going to want to make that mistake again now, seeing how competitive he's been so far this year. And yeah, he's been really doing quite well. Of course, Oscar Piastri has also been doing quite well at the moment. He's extended his contract as well to 2026. But yeah, I think they've got a really strong driver lineup in that team. Disappointing that they've lost that strong reserve driver of Alex Palou. He could have also been a great driver for the future, but unfortunate that he has gone and signed away from his McLaren deal. Moving on though now to Aston Martin, we have a few articles speaking about them, and we'll move on to this first one. Aston Martin's Le Mans plan can solve its Formula One driver issues. Aston Martin's commitment to a top-level sports car racing program that will utilize technology campus of its Formula One team that will utilize the technology campus of its Formula One team offers a potentially neat solution for that very F1 team. There's no initial word on who will drive its Valkyrie AMR Pro at the Le Mans 24-hour in the World Endurance Championship at the IMSA Series in the United States, but one of the seats could be a convenient soft landing for current Aston Martin driver Lance Stroll. As the son of Aston Martin chairman Lawrence Stroll, Lance is unlikely to be hurried out of the exit door at the Formula One team anytime soon. But the reality of Formula One means that Stroll's seat could be permanently guaranteed, just because it is part of his father's project. Formula One is meant to be a meritocracy. Aston Martin has grand ambitions, and it has produced a very capable car this season. It is one of the top 10 best teams in Formula One, and there's no good performance-based argument for Stroll to take up one of those seats right now. Being overhauled by McLaren's rookie driver Oscar Piastri in the points after the Japanese Grand Prix means Stroll is now the worst performing driver of the top 5 teams in the championship, and is in danger of not even finishing in the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, of course, which, as an aside, would mark his best finish in Formula One. That's embarrassing. Team leader and double world champion Fernando Alonso is an almighty benchmark for any driver, but Lance Stroll has measured up poorly. Even factoring in his injury at the start of the season and the bad luck that he has definitely intervened at times this year, his qualifying performances have not been good enough, often setting him up for more difficult Sundays, and his points fall short, costing Aston Martin anywhere from 1 to 3 places in the Constructors' Championship. It is clear in Aston Martin's interest to replace Stroll with a driver who can produce a higher output would be necessary. Maybe there is now a path to doing that. Stroll would be a very good driver to have in the mix for a fully fledged Aston Martin Works program outside of Formula One, as he has plenty of detractors, but he is also clearly talented. Regardless of the privileged opportunities afforded, you don't win junior categories, score a podium in your rookie season, produce somewhat star-wet weather qualifying performances, and consistently show superb instinct racing other cars on opening laps without having some innate ability. There have been some question marks over his commitment, whether he really wants to be in Formula One, and how much he actually cares about this since his first season. Such speculation can be quite unfair. Who knows really what Stroll's motivation is and how dedicated he is to being a Formula One driver. But there must be some underlying devotion to the craft. If you ever think about him talking passionately about safety standards in karting or in junior categories, you would not accuse him of not caring about racing. And to do what he did at the start of the year, racing so soon, after what was clearly a severe set of injuries, took serious determination, not just to compete, but to perform in a way that took to be his most impressive display in Formula One. Being a good driver who likes racing isn't enough though to be at the top of Formula One, because what Stroll isn't is a world beater, and he's not showing any signs that he will become one. At 24, he has time on his side. Only 6 drivers have raced in Formula One that are younger this year, but his early arrival means he has been around for quite some time. He is not a third, third or fourth year with some rough edges to smoothen out. He's a 7th year driver, and in terms of numbers of starts, he's the 10th most experienced driver on the grid right now. It is not impossible, but this year so far in his Formula 1 career, it seems unlikely that he is going to make some kind of step that turns into anything more than a lower midfield driver capable of some high peaks. Stroll certainly yet to show that he can be Aston Martin's equivalent of the young, exciting drivers that are underpinning so many rival projects, with the likes of Max Verstappen at Red Bull, Lando Norris at McLaren, Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, and George Russell at Mercedes. For a while though, he didn't need to be. Aston Martin's rapid progress meant that it already had outgrown what he offered. That's nothing to be sniffed at though. Even lesser performing Formula 1 drivers are very good racing drivers, and clearly he is not a hapless one. If he wanted to, and if it was viable given the familial ties that he has to Aston Martin, he could make a serviceable contribution to Formula 1 for longer or a lesser team. But this is not the caliber that fits Aston Martin's Formula 1 ambitions. Ultimately, drivers are not hounded out of Formula 1 if they are not good enough. Their time and options just expire. For Aston Martin to maximise its potential, it needs to explore other alternatives for a highly coveted seat. The awkward part though was that the family ties meant that Stroll was not a normal underperforming second driver. Having a viable alternative in the family business is an obvious potential way around that. There will soon be a high-profile Aston Martin project where big wins and a chance to become world champion is in another discipline which surely appeal for Stroll, satisfying what desire he has to keep for racing and save face for all involved. Certainly a big topic here about Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. I mean, a lot of people have been calling for Lance Stroll to leave Formula 1 and give that seat to someone else. I'm going to ask all of you in the poll right now, do you want Lance Stroll to leave F1? Just fix my spelling there. And that's up live now, so you can all vote and let me know your opinions on what you think about Lance Stroll. Do you want him to leave? Do you think that he should go? And I'm going to talk to you now, of course, about that Aston Martin hypercar project that they are running for Le Mans. But do you think that Lance Stroll should pursue other opportunities and just go across to the Le Mans project, just leave Formula 1 alone? He's kind of lost his opportunity, unfortunately. He hasn't proven himself at all. He really just needs to kind of make things a bit better for himself by maybe stepping out of Formula 1 and maybe saving face, as the article says, of course. But yeah, we'll move on though to that article now about Aston Martin's hypercar project. Here it is. Now, Aston Martin confirm a hypercar project as Aston Martin will take to the forefront of sports car racing as it confirms its Valkyrie entry. Aston Martin has confirmed that it will contest the 2025 World Endurance Championship and WeatherTech Sports Car Championships with the Valkyrie Le Mans Hypercar project. The British manufacturer expanded into Formula 1 in 2021 after competing in World Endurance Championship for several years in the GT categories. However, now will step into the highest level of motorsport racing by fielding a hypercar which will compete at the 24-hour of Le Mans. The Valkyrie, which is a road car version, was designed by Red Bull Chief Technical Officer Adrian Newey. The project will be backed by Aston Martin's championship winning endurance racing partner, Heart of Racing. Performance is the lifeblood of everything that we do at Aston Martin, and motorsport is the ultimate expression of this pursuit of excellence, said Lawrence Stroll, chairman of Aston Martin. We've been present at Le Mans since the earliest days, and through these glorious endeavours, we succeed in winning Le Mans in 1959. And our class 19 times over the past 95 years. Now we return to the scene of the first triumphs, aiming to write new history with a racing prototype, inspired by the fastest production car Aston Martin has ever built. Certainly very exciting to see that Aston Martin are venturing into the Le Mans hypercar project and hypercar category with their Valkyrie project. It's going to be very interesting to see whether they're going to be competitive. Whether we'll see Aston Martin just getting rid of Lance Stroll, pushing him into that hypercar project, we'll have to wait and see. I think that would be maybe a bit of a better option to do with Lance Stroll. He hasn't been anything spectacular, unfortunately, in Formula 1 since his debut. He's had a few few standout moments, but nothing necessarily too crazy that we can think of over the years. And it's disappointing because he had a great junior category career, but it really did not carry over that momentum into Formula One, as I think there's just too much competition, and he might just be better suited to another category in some other form of motorsport. And his dad has another team in Le Mans, so why not pursue that instead? Moving over to one more article about Aston Martin here, as Aston Martin accepts their Formula One rivals did a stronger job developing their 2023 cars. Aston Martin has said it has had to accept that their Formula One rival teams did a stronger job in the 2023 development, as it continues to slip back in 2023. Aston Martin came flying out of the gates in Bahrain, with its lead driver Fernando Alonso racking up 5 podiums in the first 5 races. But over the summer, the ongoing got tougher for the Silverstone squad, with it especially slipping back on mixed corner circuits, where aerodynamic efficiency comes at a premium, as Alonso was restricted to just one more podium in the last 8 races. In the meantime, it has also lost touch with Mercedes in the constructors' table, and is instead looking over its shoulder at the resurgent McLaren team. Aston Martin's performance director Tom McCullough admitted that the team has not developed as strongly as it hoped, and that rival teams have done a better job of catching up. There are definitely some teams at the start of the year who were underperforming, he said, who were taking a step back. We knew that they'd get back on top of that, most notably McLaren and Mercedes. At the start of the year, we were a little bit surprised to be second or third we were a little bit surprised to be the second or third fastest team, but the margins between the second, third and fourth fastest teams were always very small. And we were always aware that it doesn't take much to fall to the back of the pack. And then just from the pure development race, bringing bits to the car, making the car quicker, it was a relative game. Some teams have been doing a stronger job than we have. We have to accept that. We obviously hoped to develop the car stronger than we've ended up developing so far. The team has also repeatedly stated that technical directives introduced in Singapore were not a contributing factor in its downturn in form. But the squad now feels it has a good understanding of its weaknesses, so it can deliver a 2024 car that is more efficient and can be more competitive on circuits that combine several downforce requirements with straight line speed and low speed handling. The technical directives that was introduced in Singapore has had no impact on our performance. I don't think they're significant. For us, it's more track characteristics and base development race that we're sort of fighting with. There are certain characteristics of our car that we understood right from the first test and race, the strengths and weaknesses of the car, and we've been trying to address those areas that we're not as competitive in. Our job is to try and make the car quick on all 23 circuits, and we've still got plenty of work to do for that. Aerodynamically, we've had a good understanding of how the car's performing through the ride height and speed ranges. And we know areas that we want to improve in, so that process is ongoing, and we still have a few more bits coming this year to help with that understanding. Aston particularly struggled in Japan, where Alonso battled to 8th place, 1 minute and 14 seconds behind the winner Max Verstappen, and teammate Lance Stroll retiring with a broken rear wing. But the team is expecting its form to pick up this weekend in the race in Qatar, as Losail's high downforce circuit doesn't emphasize aerodynamic efficiency as much as Suzuka did. Qatar is quite different in the way that it's predominantly high-speed corners, and the efficiency of the cars are not as important, so you'll be up on the rear wing level, McCullough explained. One of the things we were struggling with in Japan is being competitive in both high-speed corners and low-speed corners, as well in the straight lines. Qatar is very different in that aspect. Yes, there are cars that are faster in high-speed corners, so they'll be fast, but hopefully we can be a bit more competitive. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cybersecurity. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. We're certainly hoping to see the Aston Martins becoming a little bit more competitive. They seem to have fallen back in the last couple of races after the summer break. As this article has gone and said, it's been a bit disappointing because off the back of the first half of the season, we were really hoping that they would be able to continue that momentum going into the second half of the season and really continue to fight with the Mercedes in terms of the Constructors' Championship. They were all fighting for second place, and Mercedes has now pretty comfortably taken that away from them. It's disappointing, but it is what happens in Formula 1. The development game is just so competitive, especially in the second half of the season, where possibly some teams are coming up on their cost cap limit. Other teams have been a little bit more careful, a little bit more wary of spending all of those cost cap budgets and where to spend those budgets. But we're seeing that these teams are just having to learn how to use their development game and where to plan it for the rest of the season. It's certainly helping with a 23 race season. We're getting a bit of a trial run this year for a lot of the teams so that they know when to bring different development upgrades for the next season and which tracks are more important to bring upgrades for. I'm sure that they will all be learning a lot more about that now. Yeah, that brings us pretty much near to the end of all of our Formula 1 news for the day. As the last little bit of news for Formula 1 before I move over to Moto GP is the fact that Ollie Bearman will be stepping in the Haas team for the Mexican Grand Prix. So the rookie Oliver Bearman, he's currently in Formula 2 doing really well. He's been competing and challenging for that title this year. I don't necessarily know if he's too close anymore in terms of the points, but in the first half of that season in Formula 2, he was doing really well. But he will be doing a FP1 outing for the Haas team in Mexico as well as in Abu Dhabi as part of the Haas team's stipulation to bring in rookie drivers in 2 race weekends over the Formula 1 season. So they are getting their hours done in those 2 races. It's going to be interesting to see what Ollie Bearman can do. He is a big name for the Formula 1 future. He's certainly looking like he is going to be really a hot commodity in the driver market in the future as well, and there are going to be a lot of eyes on him certainly this weekend. Yeah, lots of votes I see that we have there in that poll there asking about, do you want Stroll to leave Formula 1? 67% of that poll saying that they want him to leave, 33% saying no, that they'd like him to stay. Very interesting there. Do be sure to vote in that poll if you haven't already. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people calling for Lance Stroll to kind of just get out and give some space for some other younger drivers to get into that seat. Filippo Dragovic is certainly waiting in the wings there to take that away from him. As we move on to our final article here today, speaking about MotoGP and Marc Marquez. Marquez has thanked Honda for an unrepeatable MotoGP tenure following his exit announcement. Marc Marquez has thanked Honda for what has been branded a unique and unrepeatable relationship following the announcement of his departure for the 2024 MotoGP season. Honda announced on Wednesday afternoon that it had agreed by mutual consent with Marquez to terminate his 4-year contract a season early at the end of 2023. This follows a miserable year for Marquez and Honda, as an uncompetitive RC213V has caused him numerous injury issues and has allowed him to score just 1 Grand Prix podium this season in 14 rounds. Marquez's future has been the subject of discussion though. Marquez's future has been the subject of discussion for weeks now, though it is thought that his final decision was only made this week as he considers staying with Honda or moving to Gresini on a year-old Ducati. The latter eventuality will now come to pass, even if Gresini is yet to say anything publicly. Immediately after the announcement, Marquez thanked the team with whom he made his MotoGP debut in 2013, and won all of his 6 Premier Class World titles, as well as 59 race wins, 101 podiums, and 64 poles. He went on to say thank you for this great journey. 11 years together, Marquez began. We shared unforgettable moments, 6 world championships, 5 triple crowns, riders, teams, constructors championships, 59 victories, 101 podiums, and 64 poles. Hard work, determination, and a bond we have built over the years. Laughs, tears, joys, hard moments, but most importantly, a unique and unrepeatable relationship. Separated, but always together. Marquez conceded after last Sunday's podium at the Japanese Grand Prix that it was unlikely to change his mind over his future with Honda. It is understood that Marquez will not be able to take any of the crew he has worked with during his time at Honda to Gresini with him though. Honda has also recently went on to recruit drivers to try and secure engineering talent that would have convinced Marquez to stay, but was unable to do so. Marquez will partner his brother Alex Marquez at Gresini next year though, performing a partnership that they previously enjoyed in 2020 at the factory Honda squad before the former badly broke his arm at the Spanish Grand Prix and missed the entire campaign. Alex Marquez posted his own message of support for his brother on Wednesday, stating, "I know today has not been an easy day for you, but you are brave and life rewards those who value it. Few of us know what you've been through since 2020, and it's time for you to enjoy 100% of what you love most again." Certainly it's going to be very interesting to see Marc Marquez on a Ducati, certainly after we've only ever seen him on a Honda throughout his entire racing career. He is going to be quite dominant though on a Ducati, that is for sure, with a lot of riders I think quite wary and quite scared of Marquez getting onto that Ducati motorcycle, because they are just tipping him to be extremely dominant, with Honda in the past few years unfortunately just getting it wrong in terms of their bike development, their overall handling of the bike, their power development, their power output. It just has not been able to match the likes of Yamaha and Ducati in the past few years, as well as KTM. The European teams have seemed to take a massive step forward in the past few years, whereas the Asian teams, the Japanese-based squads, have just taken a bit of a step back, with Suzuki, Yamaha, and Honda all not necessarily doing as well as they had done in the past. But I'm sure that it won't take them all too long to get back in their racing ways. But yeah, very interesting here for the wrap up of today's show. Just having a look there in the comment section one more time at that poll for Lance Stroll. 75% now saying that they would like Lance Stroll to leave Formula One, as we have a whole bunch of you guys in the chat and the stream at the moment. Please do be sure to drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Always great to have so many of you watching. But yes, thank you very much. That has been it for me here today with all of the Formula One and motorsport news on Forever Motorsport. Please do be sure to stick around. We'll be taking you straight through to our Formula One stream for tomorrow, so you can go and like that video, and you can click the notification button there so you'll be notified when we do go live for the FP1 session for Formula One tomorrow. Of course, it is a race weekend, and we have the Qatar Grand Prix taking place. We have free practice 1 tomorrow. I think it's at 12:30 our time. And then there is, of course, qualifying for the race on Sunday as well tomorrow afternoon. Then there's the sprint qualifying on Saturday morning, the sprint race on Saturday afternoon, and then, of course, on Sunday, the main event, the race there in Qatar. But that has been it from me here today. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula One season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. The Qatar Grand Prix Sprint is Max Verstappen's first chance to wrap up his third straight World Championship. He has 177 points clear of Sergio Perez with 180 left on the board for the rest of the championship season, meaning a 6th place finish on Sunday at Losail will be enough to ensure that the trophy stays on top his drinks fridge by his sim rig for another year. When Verstappen does win the title, he will become the 11th driver to win 3 or more titles, and the 6th to be a triple world champion. On the current list of those he can match, it includes his father-in-law, as well as Sir Jackie Stewart and Ayrton Senna. Not bad company at all then. Of course, some drivers have gone beyond the magical 3-time threshold, and interestingly, they all but one have something in common with Verstappen. The drivers listed below, with the exception of Alain Prost, have all won 3 or more titles in a row, with Michael Schumacher's 5 with Ferrari the all-time record. Of course, there's 7 titles with Schumacher, Hamilton with 7, Fangio with 5, Prost with 4, and Vettel with 4 as well. Interesting to see what Max Verstappen is doing at the moment in Formula 1. We'll see if he can continue his winning streak in Formula 1 next year in 2024 to continue that consecutive run of championship titles. But this year he has gone pretty much unchecked this entire season. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. This is a major talking point which we've been talking about in the last coming weeks and months. There's been a lot of videos on this channel speaking about it. And now the FIA have officially approved the Andretti Cadillac team's bid for a new team to join the Formula 1 grid. A new team could be joining Formula 1 in the near future after the governing body has approved one applicant following a rigorous process. The FIA has granted approval for a new team to join Formula 1, opening the potential for the grid to expand beyond 20 cars. Following months of deliberation, the application of Andretti Formula Racing has been approved after a comprehensive application process. Earlier this year, the FIA opened the formal applications process for new teams to join the Formula 1 grid as early as 2025. 1 year before the new technical regulations come into play. Formula 1 has existed with 10 teams since the 2017 season, with Haas being the last squad to set up in the paddock. Last year, Andretti Global announced its plans to join Formula 1 in the future and confirmed a tie-up with Cadillac in January, which would see a major car brand arrive on the grid with it should it be successful. Andretti fields successful teams in the NTT IndyCar series as well as the all-electric Formula E category. As part of its increased investment into motorsport, Andretti showcased plans to build a brand new racing headquarters in Fishers, Indiana. This established their progress along with 3 other applicants to phase 2 of the process, which assessed them on their sporting and technical capabilities. The ability of the team to raise and maintain sufficient funding to allow participation in the championship at a competitive level, and the team's experience and human resources. With the FIA's approval, a decision now must be made by Formula 1 itself, with the governing body confirming that its findings have been passed on to the Formula 1 management for commercial discussions. Andretti have been reportedly the only team to fulfill the selected criteria. FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem said, "The FIA was very clear in establishing stringent criteria for their entry from the outset of the expressions on interest procedure. Our objective after rigorous due diligence during the application process was to only approve prospective entries which satisfied the set criteria and illustrated that they would add value to the sport. The FIA is obliged to approve applications that comply with the expressions of interest application requirements, and we have adhered to the procedure in deciding that Andretti Formula Racing LLC's application would proceed to the next stage of that application process. In taking that decision, the FIA is acting in accordance with EU directives on motorsport participation and development. Andretti Formula Racing was the only entity which fulfills the selection criteria that was set in all material aspects. and congratulate Michael Andretti and his team on a thorough submission. I also want to thank all prospective teams for their interest and participation. The expressions of interest process builds up on positive acceptance of the FIA's 2026 Formula 1 power unit regulations among existing OEMs, which has already attracted further commitment from Audi, Honda and Ford, and interest from Porsche and General Motors. I would like to thank all of the FIA team members involved in the expressions of interest process for their tireless efforts ensuring a diligent assessment of the FIA team applications received. So, very exciting to see that the FIA has approved Andretti's bid to join Formula 1 in 2025. Whether Formula 1 management will approve that, though, we will have to wait and see. There's a lot that does now have to happen before they can be admitted onto the Formula 1 grid. The Concord agreement with all of the teams would have to be redrawn because, of course, the teams don't really want their funds diluted with a new team being brought into the sport. It's also been rumoured that a new team would have to pay a dilution fee of about, I think it's $200 million a year to not allow the rest of the teams to lose any money from the winnings pot at the end of the season. So it's really a lot of politics that are still involved, a lot of behind the scenes talking and as I said, politics still with the FIA and Formula 1 group. Liberty Media might still not be all too happy to admit another team onto the Formula 1 grid. We'll have to wait and see though what does happen. The Alpine Formula 1 CEO reveals his plan to fix a huge amount of internal issues. The Alpine CEO, Luca Di Meo, has outlined a clear plan to address significant problems within his Formula 1 team. The French outfit began the latest regulation changes in a reasonable fashion last year, establishing themselves as the best of the rest. Despite reliability presenting itself as a clear weakness, Alpine had a strong foundation to build upon for 2023. However, the team's aspirations to fight at the front failed to materialize over the winter break. From day one in pre-season, the A523 proved to be relatively uncompetitive, despite the quiet confidence shown by Otmar Safnauer in interviews. There were few signs that Alpine would be world beaters in Bahrain. Pierre Gasly's P9 finish was a strong recovery from qualifying, validating the early consensus. Still, later events in Australia and Miami provided some optimism for the team, and that they could pull themselves somehow up the field. Under certain conditions, the French team was capable of giving the likes of Aston Martin something to worry about. Although a fantastic weekend in Monaco provided further encouragement, the A523 has shown little promise since then. Whilst the car is relatively compliant in terms of handling, it lacks the performance to compete for major honours, with Ocon and Gasly having both managed exceptional podiums in 2023, but these have been anomalies in the results. Furthermore, the mid-season development at McLaren has served as a magnifying glass for the lack of progress at Enstone. However, despite the reality of Alpine's situation, it was only 18 months ago that CEO Laurent Rossi outlined the team's 5-year plan. The team's high-ranking personnel all seemed convinced that this timeline was appropriate. Therefore, Alpine's pace this year shouldn't have triggered any significant alarm within the squad, at least in theory. As the first races were completed, however, internal frustrations soon began to surface. Laurent Rossi began the 2023 campaign with a series of criticisms towards the team. The Frenchman then listed a variety of grievances, seemingly dissatisfied with the team's progress. In response, albeit via interactions with the media, team principal Otmar Safnauer made clear that success in Formula 1 cannot be rushed. Evidently, there were internal disagreements. Not too long after this exchange, during the Belgium Grand Prix weekend, the dismissal of Safnauer and Permain was announced. Whilst there were clear elements of confusion and uncertainty, one thing soon became clear. The widely discussed 5-year plan was no longer viable. Luca Di Meo and the other senior personnel at Alpine have set goals for more immediate success though. In a speech given at Enstone, broadcast in the factory as well in Vieri, Di Meo outlined a series of changes. A range of topics were discussed by the Renault CEO. Di Meo had made things clear that the old ways of thinking will no longer be tolerated in the team, and Alpine will be working towards a fresh approach and increased collaboration between the Enstone team and the Viral team as well, as previously there have been instances of clear division between the English and French departments in the team. An example of this tension takes place during race weekends, where the team's English and French personnel have been known to book separate hotels. At a constructor that manufactures its own engines, this lack of chemistry is detrimental. Alpine has received plenty of criticism for the unreliability of their engines as well, especially during the 2022 season. In addition to reliability, the French power unit provides less horsepower than Mercedes, Honda, or their Ferrari counterparts. However, it is no secret that Alpine has deficiencies in various areas. Excuses are also becoming increasingly difficult to accept in modern Formula One, as proven by Aston Martin and McLaren. Internal cohesion and innovation will be rewarded out on track. So really interesting to hear all of this coming out about Alpine this year. Well, I didn't necessarily know about all of these internal struggles and internal divisions between the team. And it's certainly very interesting to hear about the fact that the English department and the French department don't get along well. And for them to even book separate hotels is completely unheard of in Formula One. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula One season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Losail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Losail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting Moto GP events and made its debut on the Formula One calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4km Losail Circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula One content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix.
Oh, I think there we go. Yeah, we are just making sure that's all coming through, and you are joining us now for qualifying. And yes, of course, I'm joined by Reece, and I wasn't there for FP1, of course, but Reece was, so he will tell us in a little bit exactly what happened and what we can possibly expect in this qualifying session. But before we do get there, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below. Who do you think is going to be the best this weekend here in Qatar? Of course, Red Bull have already won the Constructors' Championship. They won that last time out. But Max Verstappen with the potential to win the Drivers' Championship this weekend, should he win, and with the fastest lap, I think it is, then he will...
No, he can actually win it tomorrow, Mark. So if he beats Sergio Perez tomorrow,
yes,
or gets sixth, all he has to do tomorrow is beat Sergio Perez by 3 points, and he should be able to take that Constructors' Championship,
which is
the Drivers' Championship.
Which is one of the earliest that's ever happened in Formula One, so it would be quite a feat, but he still has to get past the rest of the grid. And apparently, Reece, the Mercedes-engined cars were quite good in FP1.
Well, I was telling you that before the session, so yes, they were certainly looking quite competitive, specifically the likes of Russell, and as well as Alonso was looking quite quick, and then near the end, so was Piastri and Norris. Yeah, really exciting for this qualifying session coming up ahead of us. I think it's going to be a very, very competitive session. It's going to be the first session in the cooler temperatures, of course, during FP1. It was, as Mark can see here from these replays, it was so dusty. Their lap times were 15 seconds off of 2021's lap times in the first session because of the amount of sand out on the circuit, as well as because the circuit has been resurfaced from 2021 to this year. Because of that, there's a lot less grip. These cars, obviously, I think the first cars since that resurface has happened to be putting down rubber on this track.
Yeah, so it just tells you that clearly you have some bizarre sort of weather or circumstances at certain tracks that cause much slower times. Here in Qatar, we've got sand. Sand is the problem, and it's a bit like Anakin Skywalker says, I hate sand. So I think most of the drivers are similar here. Pure Bloods in the comments saying F1 squad, let's go. I messed up the comment there, but nonetheless, he's there. Love to see it. We've got another comment there saying, how was your day, Mark and Reece? Well, long, very, very, very long, very, very busy. I still have not stopped working since this morning, and I'm working on into the evening. So it's been a long, long day. So very keen to see what happens. Let us guys know in the comments, unless you see your driver there in the poll, who will take the top spot in qualifying. Currently, we've got Verstappen with 54%, Hamilton 27%, Alonso 8%, and other taking 12%.
Do be sure to spam that other, guys. Don't be shy. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what Piastri and Norris can do in this session. Unfortunately, there's only 4 spots in that poll, and 3 of them can be drivers. One has to be another, because, of course, there's always someone else that is not included in the poll. So if your driver's not in that poll, please do be sure to let us know there in the comment section. And subscribe to Forever Motorports says Alonso gets poll today. Thank you very much for changing your username. I really like that username. I think that's the best one we've ever had.
Yes, that is the best one. Do be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys. Very much appreciated. So Alonso gets poll. I think that would be quite a big thing. I'm actually going to stop the poll if you don't mind. I'm going to start a new one here. For, of course, Q1 rather, not FP1. Now, you see, this is what happens when you miss FP1. You keep wanting to say it. So we're going to start a new poll for who will top qualifying 1.
Let me do it, maybe because you're a bit further away from that.
So we're seeing in the box here, Verstappen still in outside the car. They're just having a chat to his team principal, Christian Horner. Of course, it's a lot more relaxed now that Red Bull have confirmed
who will top or who will drop out of Quali 1 is the question.
Yeah, no, who will top? Who will top it? Because otherwise we've got too many options there, and also 3 of the options would be Logan Sargent, and Logan Sargent. So we'll have to wait and see who will in fact drop out. Though I think that's probably a good thing to go and talk about right now, just before we get going with qualifying, which gets going in just about 7 minutes time here in Qatar. And I think, looking at the FP1, I think we're probably going to see both Alfa Romeos once again drop out. We'll probably see Magnussen drop out. We'll probably see one of the Alpines, and then perhaps Logan Sargent as well, as I've always noted. So I reckon those are my 5. I'm saying I'm saying one Haas, Kevin Magnussen, both Alfa Romeos. That's 3. I'm going to say one of the Alpines and Logan Sargent. Reece, who do you think will drop out in Q1?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I think Liam Lawson, he was struggling a little bit during FP1, of course. He's only got 1 practice session to get to grips with this track. Yuki Tsunoda, his teammate, he's lucky that he did compete here. I think it was in his rookie year, to be honest, 2021, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the 3rd year. So yeah, 2021, he did compete here. So he's got a little bit of background knowledge of this track. So we'll have to wait and see what they're able to do. I think maybe, so I'm going to say Lawson, Magnussen, the Hasses were looking all right, so I'm not going to put them in maybe. Oh, sorry, Magnussen I'm going to put in there. Bottas, Zhou, and then Sargent's been looking quite competitive, to be honest, but I'm still going to put him out.
So you've basically gone for almost the exact same thing as me. So, except for the fact
I wasn't listening. I was
except that you said
you
added Lawson, so that was the one thing. I said one of the Alpines will go out. So that's the only difference between us, but nonetheless, let us know, guys, who are your 5 people that will drop out. Kaja saying, be gentle with Magnussen. Why?
I think it was his birthday this week.
Well,
sorry, Kevin.
Must try and get that birthday luck to try and get him out of there. But unfortunately, I don't think he's getting out of Q1. Though I do see these horses sometimes pull some things out of their hats, but I don't really foresee it. I would love to see, though, what the McLarens can do I did see earlier in FP1 just the very small glimpse I managed to have a look at that. The fact that they were doing all right near the beginning of the session, and I really am keen to see what they can do in the remainder of this.
Cash agrees, well, not agrees, but confirms there that it is Kevin Magnussen's birthday. We're sorry, Kevin Magnussen. I think you'll be dropped out of Q1 for your birthday today.
Well, I'll tell you what, prove us wrong, and then we'll be...
Then we'll be very, very happy for K-Mag.
Yes.
Just looking now that the titles are all rolling for the qualifying session to get underway, we have just 4 minutes and 24 seconds left on the timing board before Q1 does get the green light here at Qatar.
Yeah, indeed. So, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and, of course, join us for all the streams that we'll be doing this weekend as well. We'll be doing sprint qualifying tomorrow, or the sprint shootout as it's called. Then we'll be doing the sprint race itself, and of course the main event qualifying. Well, I suppose these days qualifying is the main event.
Yeah.
But the main event, the race on Sunday, of course. It is looking beautiful out here in Qatar. It is looking sandy.
Well, it is set in the middle of a desert, so I would expect it to be quite sandy. But it's incredible to see. I mean, from my track guide to now, the amount of development around this track is incredible. It used to be just this track in the middle of the desert. Now there's already, it looks like a town or city already built around where the track is based. A lot of work does go into this track, and especially this 18th round here in Qatar, as we do get some stats up for you guys at this 18th round of the 23 round season. The track distance around the circuit is 5.4 kilometers, with full throttle set at around 114, with a track lap record of 120 by Lewis Hamilton in 2021. The top speed 344 kilometers an hour with 6 turns and an elevation 16 turns, and an elevation of 4.1 meters.
Imagine a racetrack with 6 turns. That'd be quite interesting. So looking at our tire compounds selected for Qatar, we've got the C3, the C2, and the C1, the harder set.
I still think they could have gone one set harder, to be honest, on their compounds this weekend. In not Q1, in FP1, the majority of the drivers ran on the hards for the entirety of the session because it was so hot. The track temperature was 10 degrees, a little bit hotter than 10 degrees what it is now. It was about 45 degrees then, and it's now 34 degrees.
So I suppose that's probably why they're going to have the compounds. We're not necessarily going to see... You see, practice one, in these sort of circuits, I always find that the practice sessions earlier in the day are really pointless because they really don't do much in terms of comparing weather to the night races. You see, because night races are very different to otherwise the earlier day sessions. So we will see how they fare today. This is, of course, qualifying for the race on Sunday, as it is a sprint weekend. So we'll have the sprint shootout and the sprint race tomorrow. Copy here asking in the comments, is there any hope for George Russell and Lewis Hamilton this weekend, Reece?
Yes, well, there certainly is. If you're a Mercedes fan, you're going to be quite excited for this race weekend because their long runs on the hards during FP1 were looking quite promising, to be honest, as well as their overall pace seems to be quite fast this weekend. Everyone in the Mercedes engine-powered cars have been performing really, really well. We're just looking at this surface at this track. It is quite... Red Bull's having a bit of a disco. Yeah, maybe they're having some power issues. It's really weird. But yeah, so all of those Mercedes-powered cars have been looking quite competitive this weekend.
Yeah, so very, very keen to see what the Mercedes-powered cars can do, especially those of the McLarens and the Aston Martins, as well as, of course, Mercedes itself. But the Ferraris, though, did finish second and third, I think, in that FP1. So keen to see what they can do, and maybe Sainz can go and try and attempt to get another podium position this weekend. Maybe they can go and do something interesting. As we're still seeing these the disco lighting here in Sergio Perez's pit box, it really isn't much fun. So we're keen to see that gets fixed anytime soon. Josh here in the comments saying, looking forward to you two keeping me updated. As always, great commentary. Thank you so much, Josh, for joining us, and really do appreciate the comment there. Now looking at Fernando Alonso in his car, looking very cool, and their pit box is definitely working. So Red Bull, I think maybe just getting a little bit of sabotage from the Qataris, thinking that, quite frankly, you guys need to have something against you this weekend, because everything's been going for Red Bull, of course, this season. With now the only thing left for them to try and win is that Drivers' Championship, which Max Verstappen could very easily do tomorrow in the sprint race. So that, of course, will only be decided in the sprint shootout tomorrow in terms of where he starts that race. And if he starts on pole, pretty much guaranteed he will win the Drivers' Championship tomorrow. But we've got qualifying for the race on Sunday. So now pretty much going towards the end of the season. We're only really focusing and caring much about who's actually going to just try and do something interesting, because we don't really need to care too much about points. It's now coming to who can come second,
Well,
basically.
I was going to say P2 in this Constructors and Drivers' Championship is still kind of up for grabs. The Mercedes have kind of pounced to take that, but yeah, it's very tight still for that P1 position.
Yeah,
or P2
P2,
position
yeah.
rather, sorry.
Indeed. So we do have a green flag here in Qatar, and all the cars are making their way to the end of the pit lane. The Red Bulls are leading them out, followed by the Alfa Romeos. And the AlphaTauris there as well. So, a whole lot of cars making their way out of the grid. Really, really are jam-packed there. The crowd is good here in Qatar. It's very, very good to see. And let's have qualifying 1 underway. And again, let us know who are your 5 drivers that are going to drop out here, as we do see Sergio Perez leads out the pack. So he'll be the first one to put a time in. Reece, I mean, do you think we'll lose any major names in Q1?
Well, I'd be very surprised because they have all been performing really well this weekend. It doesn't look like any of them have dropped the ball during FP1 at least. Maybe they might be. I don't want to be too early to say that maybe we'll get one of the top runners out, because I think they all are doing really well well, they did really well in FP1, as we're seeing a massive traffic jam now forming in the pit lane. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the Williams might be a bit of an upset, possibly, because some of these other teams have been really fast. But I think they should still be really good. They enjoy high-speed circuits, so I don't know. It's really a confusing one.
If I may, just watching a replay here, I just want to see this replay here of
very clever moves
from Alpine here, just very cleverly just blocking the pit lane there so that nobody can get past them, so they hold it up. Interesting that from the 2 Alpine drivers, but I don't think it's going to do much in the end, but just a little thing, just basically stopping the Ferraris from getting past. So also just what I was going to say is, I think, I never consider him a big name, but it's a big team, and that is Aston Martin. I think Lance Stroll is, of course, one possibility who can go out in Q1, of course, crashing a little bit earlier this year, very badly in Q1. Was it Q1? It was Q1, yes. So yeah, let's see if we'll have another shunt like that from the likes of Lance Stroll today. I doubt it. It's a much better track for him. The walls are a little bit further away. So hopefully he doesn't find himself in one of those. But yes, I think we might well have a red flag in one of these sessions, as Max Verstappen is now starting a fast lap for himself as our half of the grid. And he's going around at quite a quick pace, as is his teammate Sergio Perez as well. But Verstappen has put in a purple sector that Perez did initially put in, is now beaten by almost a whole second already, Reece.
Yes, Max Verstappen has looked very comfortable around this track in FP1. It looks like a few of those mini sectors are being taken by Stroll in the first sector, as Perez takes the second fastest sector for now, but Max Verstappen is certainly hot on his heels. Yeah, Max Verstappen has got a little bit of traffic, though, to put up with, so that might interrupt his lap a little bit with the dirty air, as he does still take that second fastest sector. Sergio Perez is kind of getting outbeaten at the moment by Fernando Alonso. They're about to both finish their lap. Fernando Alonso is going fastest in the first sector, though. Let's see if he's able to beat.
Stroll's really not far away from Verstappen's time, as Perez now crosses the line at 1:28.495. Let's see what his teammate Max Verstappen can do as he crosses the line. And he puts in a 1:26.8.
Much
so
better
a
than I
whole
thought.
1.6 seconds faster than his teammate.
I was
But
very
Alonso,
surprised because 1:28 were being put in on a set of hards, so that's not a good enough time for Sergio Perez.
no, as Bottas has gone quicker as well already, almost by a whole second as well. 1:27.6 by Bottas.
But Fernando Alonso has stolen that fastest first sector, Mark.
Yeah.
That car of Fernando Alonso's, which I said possibly could do really well here today with that Mercedes engine, is going really fast through the first and second
And another
sector.
purple sector there for Alonso. His second sector is also purple at 29.5 compared to Verstappen's 29.58.
This
So,
track is
very,
also
very similar.
evolving, though. You have to remember this track is evolving every single time a car goes out there, because this is a brand new track surface. It's getting rubbered up so quickly. We're already seeing how much less sand there's out on track. During FP1, it was like a sandstorm. But now during qualifying, it's really ramping up quite quickly. But that second sector has been stolen away by Ocon and now Gasly.
Yeah, and now Alonso has put in the fastest lap so far in Q1 here, 1:26.7. So very quick there, still a whole 0.16 seconds quicker than Max Verstappen. Going to the comments here, quite a few of you joining us. Great to see you guys here. Please be sure to let us know where you're watching from and where you're tuning in from. Great to have you all back here. A lot of our regulars joining us again. Iman asking, do you think Alonso will get a podium this weekend? I certainly hope so. It'd be fantastic
I really
for him
hope so, yes.
in that race for second position in the Drivers' Championship, which is still very much in. Old book here saying P1 Verstappen, P2 Sainz, and P3 Fernando. That's an interesting one. Would like to see something similar. Lindiwe saying, hello everybody, welcome Lindiwe. Always love having Lindiwe in the comments. Quite an intelligent commenter, which I do enjoy. Donnie joining us from Volcom, very, very good to have. And Lindiwe saying, this is Lawson's last race, shame. Hope he has a great weekend. Rick will rejoin in USA. Hope he has healed well and not to have worsened the injury. And indeed, keeping us up to date as per usual. She's always very good.
Charles Leclerc now takes that fastest lap time as now Lando Norris steals that away from him. Lando Norris quite a lot faster than everyone out on track right now. He's currently 0.8 up on Verstappen's time. So just seeing how quick this track is evolving, I mean, it's going to be incredibly rapid. We're still 6 seconds off of that track lap record around here, but it is getting closer and closer by the lap.
Norris has had his lap time deleted, unfortunately, for track limits. That's very upsetting. We're watching a replay of Max Verstappen having to put up with traffic. The Ferrari getting a little bit in his way, although I think he actually did well enough, and I think Max Verstappen...
it's the Mercedes. It's the Mercedes that got in the way. He got such a lot of dirty air. Just being really in the way of his hot lap. They could get an impeding... It's possible they could get an impeding.
I doubt it because it's only Q1.
Penalty for that.
Race controllers noted, of course, Norris's time has been deleted for track limits at turn 5. So that's just at the end of sector 1 there for Lando Norris. Very upsetting. And of course, we were watching there Verstappen getting held up quite badly by, I think, what was Russell?
I think it was Russell, yes, that was ahead of him there. We're seeing a lot of lap times being put on the board now. Verstappen's on another hot lap, putting in a fastest first sector and putting in some purple mini sectors in the final sector now as Perez finishes up a lap. He only goes 6th with a 1:26.9, not able to match that of Charles Leclerc or Alonso or Piastri up front. Piastri's up in 3rd with a 1:26.7. Max is about to finish up his lap now, sorry Mark, and he only puts himself in 2nd, 0.044 down on Charles Leclerc's time.
What I was going to say is, do you think that then Sergio Perez is that one driver at risk in terms of the big name being dropping out?
Name for sure.
So, because he's really struggling so far in the first 2 laps, not good enough at all. Though Max Verstappen not able to beat Charles Leclerc's time, he still sits at the top there at 1:26.444. Norris had gone quicker, but track limits resulted in his track time being deleted. We do see, though, that Piastri and Gasly have gone quicker than Perez. Albon also right next to Perez's time. So
Alonso setting the fastest first sector now. Green in the middle sector. What can he do in that final sector? That's where it will all matter for him. He set a purple mini sector already in that final sector as he's coming close to the line now. Just watching Tsunoda finish up a lap here as well. What can he do here this weekend, Mark?
Not much, I don't think. And I think it's the last time to try and prove himself against Liam Lawson. Of course, he is going to be in that AlphaTauri seat next season.
He goes up into 5th, though, as you say that. Not a bad time. With a very competitive field at the moment, he's ahead of Perez. And now Alonso goes up into 1st with a 1:25.6. The first one in 25s of the weekend. Brilliant for Fernando.
Indeed. So I do think we're going to see more of these times. I think 1:24s and 1:23s might well still be on the cards towards the end of this whole qualifying session. But for now, Alonso sits at the top in Q1 at 1:25.6. We now see Logan Sargent crosses the line quite slow, 1:26.9. And now comes Norris, who's of course going around. He's set a purple sector in sector 1. And we're also seeing Ocon has now put himself in 2nd at 1:26.3. A great lap there from Esteban Ocon, who's got a purple purple sector in sector 2. Just also noting back to the comments here quickly.
Dr. Raccoon says, I watched FP1 on mute because I was attending a wedding in church. At least you know your priorities.
Yeah, indeed.
Formula 1 over everything. Who cares about the wedding?
Indeed. Just going back to the comments as well. Noel joining us from Johannesburg. Great to have you here. Chennai joining us. Great to have you as well. Josh joining us from Cypress Hills in Saskatchewan, Canada.
In
that
Canada,
one.
yes.
Long name, that one.
Albon dives into the pits. He aborts a hot lap there. As we have now Logan Sargent, his teammate, as well, making his way around the track. Sorry, actually, that wasn't Albon going into the pits. That was Sargent. It was Sargent, sorry.
Well, it has to be. It's the other Williams. But just also noting, Leclerc had gone around for another lap, but has been deleted for track limits as well. So track limits certainly becoming a thing already.
They were a massive thing in FP1. And Fernando, well, not Fernando Alonso. I always get confused between Lando and Fernando. They sound too similar. That's why. Lando Norris was not able to improve on his lap time. He seemed to have aborted that lap after the 2nd sector. He is back in the pits now, possibly just putting on a new set of tyres, refueling, and getting out there again.
Yeah, indeed, it's exactly that. Ray doing here saying, hello guys, I've missed you. Well, great to have you back. Why have you not been with us? Why have you been missing us? You should be tuning into the channel all the time. Reece is doing pretty much daily content, so you don't have to miss too much. And again, just on that note, be sure to subscribe to the channel, of course, and you can get these daily live videos throughout the week from Reece, as we've got just 8 minutes left of the session, pretty much. And Hulkenberg now going around. Just noting the fact that the Mercedes, of course, have really taken a while to get into the session, currently sitting in 19th and 20th. But they are now doing their hot laps now.
They're deciding not to waste a set of tyres too early, as Hamilton and Russell are now out on track to go and set a lap time. Now that the track has already evolved, they can get a really good lap time in with limited amounts of traffic on circuit as well. It's actually a really good call from the Mercedes team.
Well, we hope so. Otherwise, they might be eliminated, and then it's a terrible call.
I don't think so.
But I doubt it as well. The Mercedes engines have been quick. Just noting, Ocon has said is feeling very hot in the car, he said to his engineers, and they said, no way, we'll go and find what
You're
the
in the
problem is
desert. What do you expect?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I wasn't there for FP1, unfortunately. I don't only do this. I work many other things. Unfortunately, I was unable to be here for that. I had work. But I am back now. So I'm joining you, and great to be back, of course, watching our favorite sport, which is Formula 1.
Lando Norris is back out there on track again, setting a fastest first sector. Bottas has set the second sector alight, as George Russell matches Alonso by the millisecond in the middle sector mark. That is incredible. To have two drivers so close together on such a long circuit. Hamilton is up on Alonso in the middle sector, though.
Indeed, and race controllers deleted Piastri's lap as Russell now crosses the line. A 1:25.9 right up there in second. Still not quicker than Alonso, and Bottas has managed to put himself up into third, but now fourth as Hamilton has gone into third at 1:26.093. Still a little bit slower than his teammate Russell, but there you go. The Mercedes right there going and strutting their stuff and putting in very, very good laps.
I'm struggling.
Attempt two.
They may very well be fueled up for double lap attempts, so they might do a quick cool down lap now, recharge their battery, and then go out again for another attack lap. We're seeing the AlphaTauri. I think of who is that? I don't see it on my board. It should pop up in a second, but I think it might be Tsunoda out on track now, who has made his way out of the pits finally to go and put in another set of times.
So, Gary saying, I predict the has-been Hamilton will be one of the big names out in Q3. I doubt it very much. Now he's put himself up to third. Like a Hike. So I was going to say some fancy name there, but it's just Like a Hike. Happy to be back again, watching on the train on my way home, on my way to a hike tomorrow. Wouldn't want to miss it. Well, glad to have you here on the train. Let us know which train you're on. Whereabouts in the world are you? TC also joining us as per usual. Great to have you back here saying, come on, Lewis. And Emma saying, I hope Alonso will have a win this season. I also think
that is certainly one of my dreams for this season. As Chennai just gives his prediction or her prediction saying Perez out at the end of the session. It's certainly going to be a bit of a difficult one for him, as Max Verstappen is once again backing up people at the end of the pit lane, possibly just trying to find some clear
just
areas
the gap,
on track.
basically.
Yeah.
He's just trying to find a gap so you can get out there and not be impeded on his lap. But we've got just under 5 minutes to go for this session, and race control has noted another time has been deleted. Alex Albon, track limits at turn 5. Very upsetting. We've seen tons and tons of laps being deleted, but right now I'm a little bit concerned about the McLarens. Norris down in 20th, of course, he's yet to put in a proper time. He had his time deleted and then made his way back to the pits. So really hoping to see Norris put in a decent lap so that he can get himself out of Q1. And also Piastri's only down in 9th, but Sainz is also up in 8th there. So I'm sure we're going to see some faster time towards the end of the session from all the relevant drivers. As Perez is going around again, very slowly. Very slowly.
0.3 down. This puts him in between Hamilton and Russell at the moment, but that's if he's able to keep that delta up through the middle and final sectors. I don't understand, Sergio.
As Leclerc now goes faster. So 1:25.4. A very, very good lap time there from Charles Leclerc in that Ferrari. Now, can anybody go and beat that time? That's going to be the great question. As Lando Norris is now starting his hot lap. He's very much up on Stroll's time, of course.
Piastri's also putting in some purple mini sectors in that first sector. So we'll have to wait and see what he's able to do as well.
Yeah, indeed. So we're going to ramp up towards the end of the session here. We're going to see some more lap times getting put in right at the end here. Let's see what happens. I think most of them going around for a double lap attempt, I think, because they've got still 5 minutes to go. We've seen the main drivers go around. So I think there will be a double lap attempt. They'll do it to have a cool down lap and then have one more go. Perez finishes up there in 4th, but I don't think it's actually going to be that quick for all that it's there.
I think he could stay in between those two Mercedes, but that's a lap time now with a really evolved track as Norris is blitzing it out on circuit. Liam Lawson's also not doing too badly as we have some other drivers out there on track. Yeah, as I said, Norris is absolutely blitzing
There you go.
out on track as he goes fastest overall now with the 1:25.131, the fastest lap time of the weekend, 0.3 up on Charles Leclerc's time.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Sainz's time has been deleted for track limits at turn 5. So he is now down in 10th. He'll have to put in another lap time. He is currently out on track, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue for him.
No, indeed. And I think he's actually putting in currently one of his a lap right now.
Piastri goes up to P4. Not too bad for the rookie putting his car around this circuit for the first time up into P4. 125.7 for Piastri there. Where does Sainz go? He goes up into P5 behind that car, Piastri.
Now, interesting to note is Max Verstappen has now started his hot lap here, and he's currently going around quite quickly, but not quite as quick as other people. As Alonso's got a purple sector here, and he's going to finish up his lap. Where's he going to finish now? Fernando Alonso going around very, very quickly here, and he's improved upon Norris's time in all the parts here. Can he get that fastest lap of the day so far? Here he goes. No, just misses out.
So, Lindiwa is there asking, what are the tyre allocations for this weekend? Because Mercedes tried the mediums, no luck, too slow. Everyone is on softs now. Clearly, that is the favourite tyre for the race. What do you think the strategies will look like? I certainly think hard and mediums are going to be, as Mark says, the preferred set of tyres for the race on Sunday. The majority of the teams ran the hards for the entirety of FP1. Verstappen now goes fastest overall with a 125.007 as I'm saying that. But yeah, those hards look to be the preferred race tyre for Sunday, for sure.
This is quite an interesting little stat, John. I'm hoping it's true. Well, I'm not hoping it's true, but it's quite sad if it is true from Not Overcune saying if Leclerc gets a pole and doesn't win, he'll be
tied with Bottas for the most poles without a win. Yes.
That's just so unfortunate. Just watching Logan Sargent, just watching the track limits there for him, their driest lap time.
He goes out by about that much, I must say.
I think this is Piastri. No, this is Lando Norris earlier in the session, maybe. Or maybe just watching.
Oh, he is so close there. I think it's just showing how close you have to be. The circuit is just so fast with no major braking points. I'm sure if you watched my track guide, you would have noticed that. Ooh, that car bottoming out a lot there mid-corner of the Alpine there. That really does not give you any confidence going into that corner. Watching Kevin Magnussen now, I think having a similar moment, having a little snap of understeer, correcting it, and then going out wide into turn 14. It's really difficult out here on circuit. It was even more difficult during FP1 because of the temperatures out there. And we're going to have similar temperatures on Sunday, which is also why I think the drivers are going to prefer those hard tires.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So we're ramping up towards the end of Q1 now. It's going to get into the business end of this session. And right now we see Magnussen, Zhou, Stroll, Hulkenberg, and Liam Lawson are those drivers that are going to be eliminated unless they improve upon their lap times. Magnussen's going around right now. He seems to be improving his lap time. So can he get out of that bottom 5, which will then push Albon into it? Let's see what happens there. But I do worry mainly for, as I said, technically not a big name, but is a big name in terms of the team. Lance Stroll down in 18th position. He's not improving upon his times very well. And his teammate Fernando Alonso is up in 3rd.
I like the comment here from Andrew Crozier. Bottas currently has that unfortunate record because of 8 gifted team order wins to Lewis Hamilton.
And he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. I do remember there being a lot of team orders in his Mercedes days. Just watching though, Kevin Magnussen, he comes across the line. He only goes up into 17. So not good enough for him.
The session is now over, and Magnussen unfortunately will not make its way out. So that was one driver I predicted that wouldn't make his way out, and in fact I was proven true. Here comes Zhou across the line. Will he improve upon his time? And Lance Stroll is also still going around. Will he get himself out of it? I think Zhou has also gone slower, so Zhou will not make his way out either. And we're starting to see these drivers here, and just finalizing the bottom 5 before we get there. Verstappen will finish the session with the fastest time, I believe, unless Sainz can do something about that, but he's been going around relatively slowly. Russell, though, has been going quite quickly. Let's see what he could do. He's got a purple Sector 2. What will he do in Sector 3? He's going to come across the line. Where does he put that Mercedes car? He will move into only 5th. Not actually where I thought he would move. So Lance Stroll there is going to cross the line. Too slow for him as well. So we do now have our confirmed bottom 5. That is Alex Albon, very unfortunately being beaten, I think, for one of the first times this season by Logan Sargent, who has made his way into Q2.
That's very interesting to see that Logan Sargent has now been able to out-qualify Alex Albon. I think that is the first time.
No, never mind. There goes Albon. He's just crossed the line.
Thank goodness. I was going to be very upset if Albon was.
He was the only one. I was saying this in confidence, and I remembered Albon's the only one who hasn't crossed the line yet. There you go. Albon now crossed the line. to confirm, Sargent is out in this session. Very unfortunate. Sargent thought he might have made it out, but his teammate just pushing him out. The Williams driver's not very impressed
One
about it.
person I completely agree with is Josh Gilson. Lawrence, speaking to Lawrence Stroll, it is time to replace your son.
Yeah, indeed.
Please, Lawrence Stroll, please.
Exactly
It is
that.
an absolute joke.
Yeah, so looking here at the bottom 5 here, Zhou, Magnussen, Lawson, Stroll, Sargent are those drivers. Ooh,
Sorry, Mark is messing with things
no,
here.
So click the button. I do apologize.
So I will get that live for you again in a second. Let me just fix that.
Apologies. Just clicked a button on the mouse by mistake. That was all that I did there. So I will go and fix this now for us, and then we'll be okay. Yeah. Nonetheless, just confirming those bottom 5: Zhou, Magnussen, Lawson, Stroll, and Sargent.
Yes, just looking at that bottom 5 now, as you say, it is not necessarily a surprise to have Logan Sargent out on that bottom 5. It certainly is a surprise to have Stroll out of that bottom 5 because, I mean, he has got one of the most competitive cars on the grid at the moment. Fernando Alonso up in P3 in the qualifying session. I mean, what the hell is going on? I don't understand why he is so far behind his teammate every single weekend in such a competitive car. It's honestly such a joke to not have him being competitive here once again. I really do not understand it anymore. And we need to get some sort of just a change to get him either into a lower team on the grid or possibly maybe he just needs to completely move away from Formula One and accept that he's not of the caliber to be driving around here. Pep it up, just saying Lewis scraped that by the skin of his teeth. Surely he did. He made it just. He's down in P14, Mark. That is not good enough.
No, indeed, it's not good enough at all from Hamilton there. But at least he is through to the next session, so he is able to go and basically compete through. So that's fantastic for Mercedes. They've got both their drivers through.
And very cool there. I really like your comment. Mark just ran the mouse outside of its track limits.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly that.
Yes, he ran it outside of track limits and he got a penalty, which was having our timing board go down for a sec. But it's fine. It's all back up for you guys now. And yeah, we have not too long to get going till Q2 gets underway. Just wanting to get that countdown text up again as we're getting ready for that to get going. For this Q2 session, it will not be too long. I think it is 15 minutes if I'm correct.
It is 15.
Okay.
18, 15, and 12. Those are the 3 different times that are available for Q1, Q2, and Q3. So we're also going to end the poll, and we're going to put up a new one. So just noting from that poll, let's see who was correct. Verstappen with 59%. You were correct. Those 59%. Alonso with 12%, he came third, and Norris with 4%, who came second. So we were right with the top 3 drivers picking, so that was good.
I think so.
So we're going to have, of course, those same 3 drivers, of course, as they did finish the top 3, and then you'll have your other box. Be sure to go and participate in the poll, as Reece will put it up in just a little bit. And be sure to like the video, guys. Please, we're almost up to 50 likes. Just go and hit that like button.
And we're also so close to 2,000 subs on this channel, so please do be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really does mean a lot to us. It doesn't cost you anything, and also be sure to hit that bell notification icon so that you get notified every single time we go live. And you can join us in all of my live streams during the week, as well as, of course, during racing streams like this.
Yeah, indeed. So, just watching a replay of Alonso getting really, really held up by Charles Leclerc, I think it is. He's really not happy about it. My word, he's a very, very angry... that's Lance Stroll. He's quite upset about life. Oh, he's punching things, is Lance Stroll. There you go. I think that's just an indication.
We have a comment there from Lindiwe asking, weird thought, do you think Stroll will go to Le Mans now that the team has entered the area to remain in the team and the motorsport world? Well, funny you say that, Lindiwe. I have a video about that, so please do be sure to go and check the channel for that. There's a complete video talking about that Le Mans team that has been entered now from Aston Martin into the Hypercar project, and Race Control have noted an incident involving Hamilton and Tsunoda, as well as Lawson Piastri, for failing to follow the race director's instructions for a maximum lap time.
Well, what I was actually going to go and note there, and it's also very interesting there, is the fact that Lance Stroll was quite badly held up by, I think it was Leclerc, I think it was one of the Aston Martins at least, was badly held up by Ferrari, really having quite a torrid time there. And we saw Lance Stroll then get out of the car straight after that and was very upset. I think it was Alonso that got held up by the Ferrari. But nonetheless, Lance Stroll really losing his mind as he got to the pits there, shoving away some engineers who were trying to console him, and then he runs down the back and he punches a wall. So not a happy man as Lance
Just
Stroll.
quit, Lance. Just quit. I, as much as I like him as a person, I don't have anything against him as a person. He is not performing up to the caliber of that vehicle. He is just wasting the fuel and the logistics getting it around the world. It is an absolute waste to get him into that car where his teammate is up in P3 and he is out in Q1.
Yeah, so another comment here that was interesting to go to is Pep It Up here, saying patience for Perez is waning. And he's currently in 11th, so if that is the same thing in Q2, he's going to be out in that Q2. And we've seen many qualifying sessions this season where Perez has struggled to actually get into Q1 for some reason. And it's bizarre when you know that Red Bull is so powerful, so quick, and is easily the best car on the good. So, yeah, I think a lot of patience for Perez is waning at the moment. But there was, interestingly enough, an interview this weekend with Christian Horner and I think it was Martin Brundle, speaking basically about Perez. And it was a very frank conversation from Martin Brundle, at least talking about him, and saying the fact that, basically, they're quite happy with Perez. They don't have an issue with Perez at all. So it's an interesting one because, well, it's clearly there are a little bit of problems. I mean, it can't all be smooth rainbows.
No, of course, it cannot all be smooth and rainbows there at the team as... I mean, it's difficult for Sergio Perez. I'm just waiting for the clock to go to 13 because I missed it at the start. But we will get that running from 13 minutes. There's 1 minute to go. But we do have cars out on track. We've got the 2 McLarens as well as a Ferrari and a Alfa Romeo out there at the moment. Just waiting. We've got 45 seconds, so I'll just hold tight on that. We've also got the only Aston Martin, I almost said Lance Stroll. It's not because he's in the garage busy punching mechanics or something. I don't know what he's going to do with his career. I mean, Lindy, we're saying she'll go check out that video. Please do. And if any of you want to go and see any of the latest news in Formula 1, do be sure to go and check out our channel. We've got all the latest Formula 1 news that I get out to you over the week. And do be sure to go and check the channel. Subscribe if you enjoy all the comments, all of the content that we're putting out to you guys. And Mark's going to take over now as I watch for the last few seconds.
It's literally just 7 seconds to go until that 13-minute marker. So they are just about in 3, wait for it, 2 and 1. And there are 13 minutes left of this session.
I didn't click it there.
That's fine.
Yeah,
so
3 seconds slow, that's fine.
There are 13 minutes left of this session. And we've seen that the Ferraris have made their way out quite early, and this time the Red Bulls waiting in the pits a little bit longer, not wanting to waste those tires. So they've taken a while to get out. But both Ferraris and both McLarens, as well as obviously the last remaining Aston Martin, have made their way out onto the track. As now Max Verstappen also gets his way out of the pits. So let's see what happens in this session. And of course, go and participate in that poll. Who's going to top the session? But also let us know which are the next 5 that are going to drop out. I think it's going to be relatively obvious. I'm going to say Albon, Tsunoda, Bottas, Zhou. Albon, Tsunoda, Bottas, Zhou, and here's the big name, Perez. I think Perez might be lost in this session.
I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to say Perez, Hamilton, Albon, and Tsunoda, as well as Hulkenberg. Yeah.
Okay, so I forgot about Hulkenberg. I think he will drop out. Yeah.
I think that's...
I'm sure also maybe an Alpine will drop out, but they actually seem to do what. They did fairly well in Q1.
I really hate to say Hamilton is dropping out, but off the pace of that Q1 session, I'm really shocked because he had such great pace during FP1. So I didn't expect him to be so far down in the timing boards, at least off of Q1. But Q2 now, 11 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Let's see what happens here as the first lap times are being put on the board now. Piastri finishing up a lap here. He will be one of the first drivers to put a lap time on the board today.
Yeah, so Piastri's times are already being beaten quite well by his teammate Lando Norris going around behind him. Although Lando Norris seems to be quite slow.
Lando Norris being beaten by Piastri.
I think Piastri's going around...
first, before Norris, yes.
Is he?
Yeah.
I see he is, yeah. So Norris went very slow though in the second sector. That's so interesting to see that. But he does put in the time, does Piastri, a 1:25.7. So
that's
already
a very competitive time for Piastri here in the second session.
And Sainz follows him in, so I just wanted to note 1:25.79. So very, very close together. 0.05 second gap between the two drivers there. As Bottas now crosses the line at 1:25.8. Not too far away is that Alfa Romeo. Maybe these Alfa Romeos are going to surprise us a little bit. We did lose show, but Bottas is right up there. And he's doing fairly decently.
Chennai is asking if we say so, then Russell, Norris, Hamilton are all struggling. Well, no. It just seems to be Hamilton out of those three. Norris and Russell seem to have some great pace out here. Carlos Sainz still not able to match the pace of Piastri right now. Where does Hamilton and Russell go, though, after their first laps? Russell starting his lap. Where's Hamilton? He's also started a hot lap now.
Well, they're just about to start their hot laps. I don't think they've quite started them yet. They're on the out laps at the moment. As Norris had to give up on his laps, clearly went quite slowly in sector 2. I imagine he probably lost it a little bit and has taken a cool down. Is now starting another lap as Leclerc goes fastest, a 125.3. So I reckon we'll get into the 124s this session.
Well, Gary's now laughing at me a little bit because early on I didn't agree with his comment about Hamilton. But now, unfortunately, in this session, he does not seem to be having the pace. My word, Gasly goes fastest overall, Mark.
Yeah, 125.2. Brilliant.
I'll get back to you now in a second, Gary.
Yeah, but Max Verstappen's going around exceptionally quickly. Look at the number of mini purple sectors that he's got behind his name here. He's about to cross the line. Is Max Verstappen, our current going for Drivers' Championship this weekend? He goes top. A 124, there you go, 0.7.
124 of the weekend.
Almost a whole half a second quicker than Gasly. Ridiculous.
Yes. Just going back to the conversation with Gary there, off the back of FP1, I certainly thought that Hamilton and the Mercedes cars were going to have a lot more pace than they have in this session. I mean, Russell seems to be doing all right. Nothing spectacular. He's about to finish up a lap time now. Just waiting. Sorry, that's an out lap, so we'll wait for him. Yeah, we'll see.
Josh saying, do we talk up Lance's performance this year to his earlier injuries this season? Not a chance. Because
previous seasons he hasn't been putting in anything spectacular either, to be honest.
And also, I mean, that injury really didn't affect him, I don't feel. I don't believe it's affected him too much.
If we think back, though, to him and Vettel, I think Vettel was ramping off at the end of his career, possibly, but he is still very, very competitive. Just watching a replay of Norris, this is him on a... Is this someone on a slowdown lap?
Word!
It's him on a slowdown lap, and another car just come. It is on a slowdown lap. Look, he's not pushing.
He was pushing before that, though, because I think that's why he gave up in sector 2, so probably just got held up quite... Although it does look like he's going
he was on a slow lap, and that's... Sonoda just completely goes wide and almost pushes him off the track there. That might be another infringement.
Dives it again.
But it's a note from the FIA.
As now we are following these two Mercedes. So we're talking about them. Let's see what they can do.
Russell goes up into P2 with a 124.9. They're finally showing some pace out here. Let's see what Hamilton can do. He's also put in some purple mini sectors as he goes up into third with a 125.1. Much better times in this Q2 session.
Yeah, but I think these times are going to be beaten quite easily, though, because I think...
the track is evolving quite
quickly. The track
quickly.
is obviously going to get better and better for all of those races out there. And I think 125s are not going to be brilliant for the session, quite frankly. I'm seeing Sonoda already in the 125.5 and Gasly at 125.2. So quite frankly, I think if you're in the 125s, you're in danger. If you're in the 124s, you might be safe. So Hamilton, still not quite safe there. But Verstappen at 124.7, brilliant from him. I'm hoping to see some 124s for most of the good this session.
I'm also expecting to see a 124 before the end of the session from the majority, because everyone who's put in a lap time right now has put in a 151.5. Yeah, no one else pretty much out of that 151 marker at the moment. Just watching right now, Esteban Ocon flying around out on track. He's put in a personal best in the first and second sector. He finishes up that lap now with the 125.6, a little bit out of that. When I said a 151.5, that is Norris on an out lap. The fastest with the slowest lap time is a 125.8. That's what I was meaning. Yeah, Albon now gets himself up into the top 10 with a 125.7. He is ahead of Piastri, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Bottas, and Norris.
Yeah, just less than 7 minutes remaining of this session. So currently we do see those bottom 5, both McLarens in it. Bottas, Sainz, and Hülkenberg as well joining them. Albon currently sits in 10th, Ocon in 9th. Interestingly enough, again, Gasly up in P4. Very, very good lap time from him, but I think we will see these times get beaten before the end of this session. So far, no red flags, no real dangers of anything happening in terms of stopping this qualifying. It's been quite a smooth one. So hopefully we'll have that continue for the rest of the session. Nobody's going to be dumbed out by a red flag or otherwise something stopping qualifying there and preventing somebody from putting a decent lap time in. But yeah.
What can these Ferraris do? They haven't, I don't think, put in their most competitive time yet. They put in a time really early on in the session, and I'm just waiting for them as they both start. I think they're on out laps at the moment, to start up their next hot lap. Let's see what they're able to do, though.
Indeed, it's exactly that. So, just watching here, just less than 6 minutes remaining of this session, and yeah, a whole lot of people in the pits right now. Just with the exception of those two Ferraris who are currently out on their out lap. Sainz now starting a hot lap. Let's see what he can do in this session as well. I really want to see Sainz and Ferrari in general just really put the pedal to the metal and try and compete with Red Bull this race weekend especially. I think it'd be great for all of us at home and hopefully give us a little bit of confidence going into next season. Maybe we'll see Ferrari do half decently.
Yes, let's see what Carlos Sainz can do now as he comes through the final. Well, is he on a hot lap yet? Yes, he is. Sorry. He has put in a personal best in the first sector, but not matching anything up at the top by Verstappen, not putting in any purple sectors. Yeah, I don't know. He's ever so slightly up on Albon, but that's for P10.
Yeah, a bit of a bizarre one. So
what's Leclerc going to do?
Let's see what can happen.
He's put at least a purple mini sector in, but also not even a personal best in the first sector.
No, really poor from these two Ferraris who have stayed out a little bit longer. So going to be a bit of an issue for Ferrari.
I don't think those are new tyres, to be very honest, Mark.
Yeah, but this is way too slow. And you see he's given up already.
No,
they've given up. They've given up the two Ferrari drivers. They're going to have to come back into the pits, I think, as quickly as possible because they're really struggling out there. And, yeah, we can see Leclerc's already given up on his lap. Just watching a replay of what happened, I think, in Sector 1. This is Carlos Sainz.
Maybe they both just made mistakes in the first sector. Yeah, he had a massive slide and then got onto the sand there, so he had to abort that lap. That is unfortunately why Carlos Sainz has not put in a hot lap there. Charles Leclerc also having a massive snap of understeer. This car, maybe there's gusts out there on circuit again.
Yeah, I think the sand is making its way back out onto track, really not helping these Ferrari drivers out on track. So they're going to be panicking a little bit as they've not got much time left in the session. Just under 4 minutes to go. Frederic Vasseur looking a little bit concerned in the Ferrari pit lane there. And we're now watching on board. I think this is with Piastri, who's starting another hot lap here. Let's see what he can do. He's currently sitting 11.
Purple mini sectors as he comes through the final two sectors. Now, let's see what Norris can do, though, because he's also putting in some really good lap times. Not too far for Max Verstappen, about 0.2 seconds off in the first sector. That's actually up on Max in the middle sector.
But I think they're going around quite quickly, these two McLarens. Yeah, so let's see what
Norris
they do.
now sets the first, or the fastest middle sector. They're really flying out on track. Piastri's 0.6 up on Albon. That's not really what we're looking for right now. We're looking where they're going to be in terms of Max Verstappen up at the top. As they both come through that final sector. Now Piastri finishing up his lap. Where can he put himself? He goes fastest overall with the 124.724.
I said the 124s will be your safe marker. If you're in the 125s, I don't think you're safe. Norris now goes quicker in a 124.6. So again, this 124 is certainly going to be the target for all the drivers as the rest of the grid are making their way out onto track. Do we think the McLarens will stay out on track? I think they can go back inside. I think they're safe.
I think they should be safe for the remainder of the session. Donnie just asking, is it possible...
No, we can't.
No, we can't, unfortunately. That's, yeah, just how our track guy, or track...
yeah, it's exactly. Unfortunately, our supplier does not allow for that. So, just seeing if Ferrari teaches you the real meaning of anxiety. It's exactly that. Leaving to the last minute as Leclerc is currently on another hot lap here as a Sainz, but Leclerc not going particularly quickly in Sector 1 as Sainz had to also abort. So let's see what happens with Sainz.
Leclerc finishes up his lap with a 125.079. So
the 125s.
Ish.
It's right on the cusp of what I think is safe.
Yes.
It's right on the cusp of what I think might be safe. But we're going to have to watch. You see, now we've seen Hulkenberg starting a hot lap here. He's going to be the benchmark in terms of what we might see in terms of what will be safe and what will not, because I think he'll be around about that 10th or 11th position. So depending on what Hulkenberg can do in this first sector, that'll be determining whether or not Leclerc will be safe or not. Watching a replay of Max Verstappen, I think just getting held up by the Ferrari.
He's just doing a Sunday drive here. He gets blocked though.
Wow.
He tries to overtake. Yeah, he tries to overtake the Ferrari ahead of him, and it just he's blocking him all over the place. What is he doing?
It's very interesting. They're a bit of racing already
from the Ferrari, completely blocking Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen has, however, put now a purple first sector in, so let's see what he can do for the remainder of his lap. He leads before Hulkenberg, who I think is going to be our benchmark setter for the qualifying requirements to get into Q3. Norris still sits first, Piastri still in second. Verstappen doesn't improve.
That's normal for him. His second sector isn't his fastest. It's the final sector where he really does just get that car up to grips as he's now coming through there. But Lando Norris is going even faster in the first sector.
Lando Norris is doing another lap here and it's going quicker in that first sector. So brilliant to see from him. Watching Hulkenberg's times here, They are quicker than Leclerc's, I believe. So this could be very interesting.
Goes even faster now with a 124.483. What can Norris do in response to that? As we're watching Sainz go around the track, he finishes up his lap only in 9.
Ooh, I think we might lose Sainz, people, because he's really struggling out there and he can't get back into the pits. So he's going to have to just cool down his lap out of the engine and start another one.
30 seconds left of this session now.
And he closes his DRS, so he thinks he opens it again. He realizes he has to open it again because that's not quick enough. He's just going to have to go for another one. He's going to have to try and recharge. Sainz is in big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. Big trouble.
Alonso out on track, putting in a really, really good first sector. He takes that purple first sector as Gasly steals the middle sector away.
But Sainz is already down into that elimination zone, so he's got to be careful this lap here because he's already lost a lot of charge trying to get round. So he's in 11th. And we're now seeing purple sectors being put in by Alonso and Gasly, as Reece says. So let's see what Gasly can finish up here. Could he go a little bit quicker than Max Verstappen, or at least maybe quicker than the McLarens? Again, that 125, I think, is going to be the safety marker. I don't know if he'll be able
to match them in the final sector. Let's see where he puts himself. He goes up into 4th, just behind Piastri. Alonso now still putting in some really good lap times. Lewis Hamilton with the fastest middle sector now. These Mercedes starting to ramp it up a little bit as Alonso's not going faster in the middle sector there for himself. Gasly goes up into P5 with Ocon behind him in P6. Hamilton finishing up his lap. He goes fastest overall ahead of Max Verstappen with a 124.381.
Go back to that comment again.
Yes, let's go back to that comment there. I think his name was George.
Was
it George?
Nonetheless.
Gary.
Yes, indeed. So now watching here, Russell, I think, has also finished up his lap here. And yeah, we're finishing up all of our laps. And I think we are going to lose 2 big names unless they can get them outside. Sainz and Perez still in that elimination zone, but Perez is still going around. He's not going quickly at all. I think he's pretty much all but out. And so is Alex Albon. We pretty much have a confirmed bottom 5. I just want to wait for these couple of drivers to make their way over the line. But it more or less is confirmed. Massive news in the fact that we've lost Hülkenberg, Albon, Perez, and Sainz.
Albon's coming to the final sector now. So, or is he? No, he's come back into the pits. Damn.
That is confirmed. Sainz is out. Perez is also out. So, there you go. Confirmed bottom 5. Tsunoda, Sainz, Perez, Albon, and Hülkenberg. So we've lost 2 major names there. Sainz and Perez are out of the session. And that's huge again for, of course, the Drivers' Championship because Perez has been trying to get that second place position and will now pretty much all but allow Max Verstappen to win quite easily on Sunday should he not be able to do it tomorrow.
Gary has conceded defeat there in the comment section saying, okay, I'll eat my words. Sorry about that, Gary. But Lewis Hamilton, in the end, pulled out a brilliant lap at the end of Q2. Not long to go now until Q3 gets underway, the final qualifying session before the sprint qualifying tomorrow morning and the sprint race, of course. This session will be giving us our pole sitter for Sunday.
Yeah, not for tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow's sprint race time. And so we'll see what happens with regards to that tomorrow in the first session, the sprint shootout, as it is called. And also, let us know your thoughts about this sort of a weekend. Of course, we've had quite a few sprint weekends this season, the most we've ever had. Do you like it? Do you like the format? What should change? What shouldn't change? All these various things.
I enjoy the fact that it really puts the teams on the back foot, and it means that they only get a single practice session to get their car set up. It means it makes it really, really difficult for them in terms of making sure that they're comfortable for a race weekend. Yeah, it's not as easy as it would normally be. And I like that. I think it puts a lot more down to the drivers being able to drive that car. And we're seeing, I think, now Hamilton getting a little bit more comfortable there. And he's put in that fastest time. So let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah. And somebody here saying sprint shootout will be fire. Well, the fact that Perez and Sainz are out in Q2 here means the shootout tomorrow, which of course happens in much hotter temperatures, will be very interesting to see what happens there. And I think people might well not actually use soft tires for the sprint shootout tomorrow because it's going to be so hot. Those tires are going to take such a beating, and you want to hold on to those tires, of course, for the remainder of the weekend. So you might see some other tires being used tomorrow in the sprint shootout, which will make it even more interesting. So I think that will be something definitely to watch, and be sure to join us, of course, for that here on the channel. So we're ramping up towards Q3. Hamilton, Verstappen, and Norris were the quickest 3 drivers there. And of course, we're going to end that poll from Q2. And we'll ask now the poll, what is going to happen in Q3, of course, because we've got Hamilton, Verstappen, and Norris vying it out for that top position. Is that who's going to finish there?
Yes, well, I'm just waiting for the clock to start again because I think it happens in a few seconds. But yeah, anyway, let's get this poll going. Who will top Q3?
Yeah, let us know in the comments, of course, guys, who will top Q3. And otherwise,
Mark forgot that he wasn't the one typing for a second.
it's fine. I was just having a read. You know when you suddenly get interested by something and everything just fades out? That's exactly what happened there. Peppered Up just saying, Perez was saying he was giving a World Champions drive this weekend. Well, that's ended up in 13th. So if that's his World Champions drive, not sure he's ever going to be a World Champion. Very unfortunate for Perez there, doing terribly there. But Sainz also getting completely messed around by the sand deposits there. Unfortunately ruined his lap and he could not go quicker as a result. So he is out in the session as well. Bottas does make it in to the top, to the final session here. And I said Bottas, watch him, because he seems to be going around relatively quickly in this session in Q1 and Q2. So he did very well there. And the poll is now up, guys. Go and participate in it. Who's going to finish on pole in our poll?
Just watching a replay here of
Lance Stroll. Yeah.
Lance Stroll. His mechanic tries to console him.
And then he smashes the wall now.
I'm waiting for him to smash the wall.
And he goes up to it and goes bang against the wall, and then he moves on in.
I think it's him trying to get his gloves off, to be very honest.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Oh, no, it's him shoving his engineer out the way, Mark.
Sure.
It's not even him pushing the wall. It's him completely shoving his engineer out the way. What an entitled brat.
Oh, and now we're seeing a replay of him, I think, getting an interview, perhaps. Oh, dear. This is a very awkward one. He's been brought in for an interview straight away, not looking very happy with life at all. Do you think this is the end of Lance Stroll? Do you think this is the end of Lance Stroll? I think this might well be. I think this will be the trigger that'll be pulled.
Well, I think if he's going to act like this, then there's no space for him in Formula One. I don't think this is what we want to see from a Formula One driver. Of course, there's frustrations, but
it's a villain arc, but he's not very villainous.
No, he's not very villainous. Sorry, I saw the timer start there, and I was like, but it was just resetting for the session to get going. Yeah, not long left to get going. I think we're going to start at 10-2, if I'm not mistaken. Just watching his engineer, I'm wondering if it's that engineer that points the finger at him, Mark.
I think it is. I think they have an argument about things. They're saying things, and then Lance Stroll loses his mind with them.
And just shoves him out the way.
I thought it was the wall, but in fact, it was his engineer. He just shoves out the way. Really big, a little bit of a problem there for Aston Martin. And I think Lance Stroll's going to have to go and do a bit of daddy duties and going to have to go and reprimand his son for some of his actions that he's done today. And again, problems with Formula One, everything's on camera. You have to be so careful.
This is going to be a brilliant season of Drive to Survive.
It's about to say, Drive to Survive is going to go lick their lips like, ooh, this is looking brilliant.
Oh my word, it is going to be a phenomenal Drive to Survive season. I mean, just watching from the AlphaTauri point of view this year is going to be incredible to see all of those behind the scenes of what happened with Nick de Vries, with Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, that's going to be very interesting to get a fly in the wall perspective of him, because he would be a big character in Drive to Survive this year, of course. Word asking, will Bottas retire soon? I don't think so. I think he may get a good chance in another team, possibly.
Aston Martin?
Yes.
Maybe he goes and takes Lance Stroll's place.
Mark Andretti would be really clever to take the likes of a Bottas and learn from him and get him to build that team up.
So watching a replay of Sergio Perez, he does get penalised for track limits, which is the problem. So that was probably why he also got eliminated in that session. Very unfortunate for him. So yeah, Josh saying, as a Canadian, always nice to see Canadian talent in the best of racing in the world, but Lance is making the decision easy to be replaced. Unfortunately, yeah, it is becoming much, much easier, and it's all down to his father and him maybe having a conversation saying, listen, mate, go and pursue tennis or something, you know, go and, maybe Formula One's not for you, as we do now have the final session underway. So let's see what his teammate can do, Fernando Alonso, who, of course, let's see what he can do in this session. He's been doing relatively well, and I'm hoping to see him in the top 3 here. Not so cute saying Netflix is sipping tea right now. Indeed, they are, very much so.
Lindy, we're there, our on-the-ground reporter for us, at least, saying, just saw the Stroll interview. He is... I can't really say that word. He has peed 1-word answers plus a curse word. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, but he's done it to himself. He's only to blame.
I think there must have been clearly a couple of conversations before he went out there from that engineer and him. They probably definitely discussed strategy or otherwise things that he should do. And Lance Stroll probably just said, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And then the engineer at the end of it said, I told you so. I told you so. Also a bit rich from the engineer, to be fair. I'll try to look at it from both sides. A little bit rich from the engineer because you're not the one in the car. It's a very, very rough one to try and have an argument with it.
To be honest, when you're in the pit wall, and no, I think you can have that argument. When your teammate is qualifying up in the top 5, you can be pissed at your driver.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Lance Stroll
Yes.
needs to do a lot better. There's no doubt about that. But I'm still very intrigued to see what happened between the two of them and what caused it. And will we see some more about that later on? Loving to see the comments here. Absolutely love peppered up here. Stroll Senior will get Lance into the octagon. Absolutely brilliant. Would love to see that as well.
I agree with Lindiwe. The TV keeps replaying him physically shoving his trainer. It is not a good look. It's certainly not a good look at all. It's making him look to be a real spoiled brat right now.
Unfortunately, he's getting that tag more and more, and you can see why. It's very unfortunate, and we keep going after him. Let's try and move on from that. But nonetheless, we're now seeing Bottas going and setting the first lap of this session, and he's putting, well, he's about to start. He's starting now. Yes, that's what I meant. He's starting the first lap of the session, so let's see what he can do. The Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, the only remaining Ferrari behind him, followed by Alonso, followed by the two McLarens as well.
I like the comment here from Luke Swanky, just saying, Drive to Survive over-dramatizes a lot of topics, but Lance Stroll is not one of them. Yes, that is for sure. He creates his own drama.
I think it was quite brilliant. Maybe that's what his dad's asked him to do. Maybe he said, you know what, we need more focus on Aston Martin. We need more money. Drive to Survive, you know, it has direct impact on the profits of Aston Martin. You got to go and make stories. Go be a useless driver. Go and shove your engineer or your trainer. Go and just create havoc, crash everywhere.
That's the look that you want, Mark. But nonetheless, that's what look that Lance Stroll is giving them. So that is the card that they have all been dealt down there.
I think we're being very harsh on Lance Stroll. He's probably a very frustrated man that he's just unfortunately lost out here.
Oh, big slide from Charles Leclerc on his first hot lap there. He completely goes over track limits. He has now given up that lap.
But Fernando Alonso is chasing him. So let's see what Fernando Alonso can do. Well, I think Alonso's also given up because
I think that's a Mercedes.
No, it's a Mercedes. I do apologize.
Mercedes on the outlap.
Yeah, Alonso though is going to be catching them very, very soon. So Bottas is going to be our first driver to put a time in here in the session.
Oh, very close between the Mercedes and that Ferrari there. They're almost caught up with each other. As I got a bit of a fright, I really didn't think they were going to crash there.
I must be honest, when you went, ooh, I was ready to respond, but nonetheless, I'm watching Fernando Alonso finish up sector 2.
These two better get out of his way. I'm going to be really annoyed if they don't get out of his way.
It seems they're doing well enough. Yeah, they did very well to get out of his way. Not infringing on his lap at all. Bottas put the first one in a 125.5. Definitely not going to be quick enough for the session. I think we might see Bottas right at the back of the grid. Reece is unhinged today, indeed.
It's been a long month. Don't judge me. I'm having fun.
Indeed. So now, Alonso goes past us at 125.2. Not quite quick enough for Fernando Alonso, unfortunately.
Ray Dow just saying, I've heard that Lance's dad wants to sell Aston Martin to a friend. Do you think it is true? I don't think so, because he owns Aston Martin as a whole, as a brand. He owns Aston Martin Lagonda, which is their road cars, as well as Aston Martin
and I think he enjoys it too much.
He enjoys it too much. They've just put in a bid, or they've just entered into Le Mans, and we have Fernando Alonso finishing up his lap time. He finishes with a 125.2, not brilliant. Bottas in P2. Piastri now takes that away from Alonso with a 124.540. Much better.
Quicker. That's what you want to see. The 124s, the low 124s. We might even see a 123 from the likes of Verstappen here. So, let's go and see what is happening here. Pepper saying, great vocal department, guys. Well, thank you so much. Josh saying, Canadians were taking a hit with the actions of one man. So much for us always saying sorry. I do enjoy that.
Where did
Oh, my word. Sorry, out of nowhere. I did say the 123s. Here goes Max Verstappen. A 123.7.
Brilliant for Verstappen there. Leagues ahead of Piastri right now. Josh Gilson, I think you need to have a little bit of a chat with Lance Stroll. He's not really putting up with that Canadian image. He doesn't say sorry, he's attacking his personal trainer. What happened to the lovable Canadian image that was supposed to be so common with Canadians, of course? Well, just saying Latifi's crash in 2021, he's still remembering that as a Hamilton fan. Get over it, mate. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, still going here. Sorry, Hamilton and Russell have crossed the lines. A 124.3 and a 124.4. Nowhere near Max Verstappen's times. Will we see anybody get close to Max Verstappen's time? That's going to be the big question. As, I think everybody's put their times in except the likes of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, though, finishing up his lap now. He moves into 5th, a 124.7. Lando Norris, though, still yet to put a time on the board. So a little bit of problems there for McLaren, perhaps. He's not got out into the track yet. Hopefully he'll put in a decent time before the end of this session.
I like this comment here from Anshuman Jenna, just saying Hamilton lost the World Championship because of a decision, didn't create a fuss. Stroll is a drama queen. Yes.
It is very much that. Just watching a replay here of Charles Leclerc. Are we watching?
I think this may have been his moment here when he loses it, and then just watch how close he gets with. They don't. Well, maybe they will follow it from his perspective now. Just watching this massive moment of oversteer that he had, he was lucky to hold on to it and not do a spin there. But then he gets really, really close with Hamilton or Russell there.
Now, I was also watching a replay of Oscar Piastri really bottoming out quite hard in that same corner. It's been the problem. It's turn 5 that everybody keeps having that small issue with. It's just coming at the end of Sector 1. Now watching that replay of the Ferrari just getting held up a little bit by quite a bit of traffic as somebody went off. Norris just saying, was the Ferrari on a push lap? Yes, he was. Sorry. So, yeah.
I think they got in his way there,
yeah. So Norris getting in the way of Charles Leclerc. Not good. But Charles Leclerc didn't seem to complain, so I don't think it was too much of a problem there. So now watching on board with Hamilton, who currently sits in second, of course, at 124.3. He topped Q2, but let's see what he can do in Q3. Still needs to get around a lot quicker, a whole 0.5 seconds quicker to get anywhere close.
There's currently no one out on track right now. Every single driver is in their pit box. There's nobody out on track. I did see Leclerc just went to his pit box. I promise you, Mark, I am paying attention. Max Verstappen getting some new tyres fitted to his car. I'd ask him when we even started watching Formula 1. Mate, don't fight. Well, I've been watching since I was a kid. My dad is a Michael Schumacher supporter.
I think he wasn't necessarily trying to fight.
I know. I think he's getting upset with us because of the Hamilton comments. No. Peppered up just saying, do you think drivers should get penalty for bad behaviours outside the track limits? I don't think so. I mean, they get monetary fines for doing stupid things.
What difference does it make?
Yeah.
That's my big thing. It doesn't hurt anybody. You can go and have comments. The only person that hurts you is, well, clearly physical things is another matter, but that's internal control. Race track limits that was deleted. I don't know who that was for. I think it was Piastri, perhaps. No, maybe it was Norris. It was Norris. That's why it's not good time. But just, yeah, great to actually, let me answer that comment properly and just say, when did I start watching Formula 1? I started watching when I was just about, well, I can remember I started watching when I was about 6. My dad's a huge McLaren fan. Always has been, always will be. So I started supporting McLaren, but then the moment I started actually having an opinion about life, Red Bull came into the sport, and as Red Bull came in, I said, oh, you know what, I'm going to follow this team. I genuinely did only follow them as soon as they entered the sport. They happened to go on to win, and Sebastian Vettel was my favorite driver for many, many, many years, and of course I was very upset to see him end his career last season. So,
Lindiwe saying in the comment section, Ferrari's wind sensitivity is extremely high around the circuit. It certainly is. That's possibly why they're getting thrown off in certain corners like that. We saw Max Verstappen in, I want to say Q1, but it was free practice 1 earlier this afternoon. He also got pushed off the circuit a couple times. Gary, they're saying, I beat you all. I watched my first Grand Prix at Kyalami in 1967. We're extremely, extremely jealous of you for that. We were really hoping that we'd get from... What is happening here in the pit lane? George Russell's holding everyone up.
I'll say, it's very interesting from George Russell holding everybody up in the middle of the pit lane, not being best appreciated from maybe everybody else. Lewis Hamilton's also holding up a little bit. But yes, very, very jealous of the fact that you went to Kyalami 1967. However, you are showing your age a bit, mate. So you've been around the block. So let us know, who's your favourite Formula 1 driver? Would love to know, because you've got quite a vast opinion on having watched all of the greats during that time. Would have been a good idea to ask you. I'm very jealous to know that you've watched all of those great drivers. Unfortunately, of course, I wasn't even born by the time I got to see some of them. The likes of Senna, unfortunately, had already passed away.
Scream just saying, if Max and Hamilton start the race in P1 and P2, there will be a crash in first corner. I don't know. I think Hamilton's quite eager to get another race win. It's been quite some time since his last race win. So I think he's going to, if he gets a sniff at it, he's going to try and race quite cleanly and make it happen.
Would be quite funny, though, if Verstappen and Hamilton crashed into each other again. Just bringing up a bit of an old feud, of course. It's not that big a feud anymore because Hamilton's car is not nearly as good as it should be. I reckon next season, though, we'll see a much better Mercedes. I think next season, we keep saying, we said this last season, next season we'll see something better.
But I think next season,
I genuinely think next season will be much better.
Has certainly improved a lot in the last few races, as we see in the current track dominance between Verstappen and Hamilton. Hamilton has, in the first sector, quite a large dominance over Verstappen, but Verstappen throughout the rest of the track has the majority of the dominance. Max Verstappen is currently, I think, on a hot lap right now. He hasn't beaten his first sector, so I think he is currently on a slow lap as he does go over track limits.
Yeah, indeed. So 1 minute and 20 seconds left of the session. Well, actually, just less than that. 1 minute, 10 seconds left of the session. So it's going to vamp up right at the engine. We're going to see a whole lot of new times being put in. So as you said, Max Verstappen is going around in sector 1 much slower in sector 1. So I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He's going to just, as you say, go and do a warm down lap and then start a new one right at the end here. But let's see what the other ones can do. Norris starting his hot lap. What sort of time can he put in? All personal best so far in the first sector, but he hasn't put in a time yet. So that's
Alonso, though, getting very close to Max Verstappen's first sector time.
Ooh.
What will he be able to do?
Let's see. I'm very keen.
Really excited for Fernando Alonso. Did I even put him in the... I didn't put him in this poll.
That's because we had to go with the top 3 from the previous one. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got more than 350 of you. Let's try and get that up to 400 before the end of this minute, basically. Yeah, indeed. So... we've still got a couple of drivers making the way out. Watching Lando Norris in that dreaded turn there. Does absolutely fine to stay in track limits, so not a problem for him. Seeing the times here, lots of purple sectors being put in by Norris in sector 2, so great to see from him. But Fernando Alonso's also got a couple of purple mini sectors in that final sector, as we've got just 5, 4, 3, 2, pretty much 1, and there's the end of the session. Fernando Alonso could put the new fastest time on the board, although let's see how slowly he went in sector 2.
Come back into the pits?
I think he has.
He has come into the pits.
Where does Alonso finish? 3rd, unfortunately not managing to get quicker than Hamilton or Verstappen. So close to Hamilton's time.
They've decided already. Lando Norris goes really close with a 1:24.07. I think they've decided early on no one's going to be able to match them.
Well, I think he went slow in sector 1 and decided, you know what, guys, it's fine. We'll go back.
But he could have started another lap if he really wanted to, but he is quite comfortable in the 123s here.
It's only Hamilton who can beat him. He's got a couple of purple mini sectors so far. So only Hamilton really is the one that we're watching. Piastri also going around with a couple of purple mini sectors, but I don't think he's going to be
too far
enough.
down. Unfortunately, in the middle sector now was Hamilton,
Russell.
131.2.
Yeah, Russell goes a 124.2. Hamilton a 124.3. He's coming around the last couple of bends. Piastri now crosses the line. Where does he put himself for Sunday's race? Up into 4th.
Brilliant for Oscar Piastri on the second row of the grid. But can Hamilton steal that away from him as he comes around the last few bends here? Where does he go? Just waiting for him to cross the line. Now he...
Does he go first?
I don't think he does. He doesn't improve his lap time, unfortunately.
No, he's about to cross now. He doesn't. Yeah, indeed. Hamilton is done. So that is the end of the session.
Verstappen's already out of the car.
Yeah,
he's already weighed himself, and
he's not bothered taking his car either to the first position. So quite unfortunate for the Qataris. I think marketing purposes they would have liked to have had him there. But he's not bothered. He's taking the car straight back to the pits and is just walking his way there and just
little celebrating for him. And that's, I think, as much of a celebration for that we'll get from Max Verstappen today. Lando Norris, so brilliant for him to get up into P2. George Russell in P3, Piastri P4, Hamilton in 5th, Alonso in 6th. What did I say? Those Mercedes engine cars are looking really competitive.
The only one better is that Honda engine of Max Verstappen. So everybody else noting Leclerc in 7th, Gasly 8th, Ocon 9th, and Bottas in 10th. The Ferraris struggling very much with the wind, as we noted today. So we're going to go straight into the next thing here, and do not go anywhere. And be sure to like the video, of course, before you guys all do head on. So let's review the session.
Yes, and we are going to start this review session now of the Qatar Grand Prix qualifying, and what a session it was. Quite competitive there near the end, but Max Verstappen once again in a league of his own on a weekend where he can take the World Championship in the sprint race tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, of course. So this qualifying session is for Sunday's race. We'll have the sprint shootout for that sprint race tomorrow as well, so be sure to join us on the channel for that. Going through our top 10 from Q3 there that we've just finished there. Max Verstappen tops with a 123.7. Norris in 2nd, Russell 3rd, Piastri 4th, Hamilton 5th, Alonso 6th. All Mercedes-powered cars from 2 to 6. Then Leclerc and the Ferrari in 7th, Gasly in 8th, Ocon 9th, and Bottas in 10. Our bottom 10, Reece.
Our bottom 10 then, Mark, are made up of Yuki Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz in P12. Sergio Perez not having a great day at all. I think he had his last lap time deleted as well to even make his day just that little bit worse. Alex Albon finishes in P14. Not the greatest qualifying session we've seen from him at a high-speed track. But nonetheless, he's down in P14, Hülkenberg P15, Logan Sargent 16th, Stroll in 17th, Lawson 18th, Magnussen on his birthday down in P19, and Zhou Guanyu all the way down in P20.
Indeed, and so we've got a bit of news from that session. We'll go through it, of course, but Q1 finished with the bottom 5 being Zhou, Magnussen, Lawson, Stroll, and Sargent. Those were the ones eliminated. Now, when Stroll got out of his car, there were a bit of arguments had with his trainer as he got out. He got out in a very infuriating manner. His trainer was pointing at him like this. He more or less pushes his trainer aside, goes around the back. This trainer keeps following him, and then we see just at the edge of the camera angle, literally shoves his trainer out the way, goes and does an interview, swears in his interview, one-word answers in an interview. Not a happy man in that Aston Martin car. So really, really big problems there for Aston Martin and Lance Stroll. with regards to what happened in today's session. Of course, that's the opposite to his fellow teammate, who finished up in 6th and is looking relatively happy about the day.
Yes, just speaking about those top 5 finishes there, Lando Norris having a great day out there, still not able to match that time of Max Verstappen's with a 123.778 here. Still quite far off, though, of the track lap record around the circuit, being a 120 point something set by Lewis Hamilton in 2021, the inaugural race around here. Yeah, Lando Norris having a good day, though, nonetheless. George Russell in that other Mercedes-powered car down in P3. Piastri in P4, brilliant day for him. Hamilton in P5, he wasn't able to improve on his lap time. He was looking like he could have been able to take pole. In Q2, he set the fastest time in that session, but yeah, disappointing there for him. We saw the replay as to why he wasn't able to improve on his lap time. In the first sector, he had a massive snap of oversteer, possibly caused by a gust of wind. Yeah, disappointing for him, but he gets outperformed by his teammate once again for a race weekend. Looking at our poll that we ran here at the end of the session, who will top Q3? And you guys all said
Verstappen, and indeed you were correct. Hamilton got 29% of the vote. He only finished in 4th, and Norris, of course.
No, Lando Norris has had his lap time deleted for track limits at turn 10. This has just come through now. Lando Norris has had his lap time deleted. He will start from P10.
Oh,
that's horrific for Lando Norris.
So now we have Russell on the front of the grid next to Verstappen. Sorry, that's just come in now as we're doing this. So Verstappen first, Russell second, Piastri third, Hamilton fourth, Alonso fifth. So we're going to see Norris down in 10th. Very, very unfortunate for him. And he was going to get interviewed, but then they had to pretty much shove him away because
he's still there waiting. He's about to be told. He's just been told.
That's Piastri.
No, that's Lando Norris there sitting. He's just been told by the FIA
yes, indeed. No,
person that he's been eliminated for his track limits. That
very
is so disappointing for Lando Norris. That would have been such an exciting race tomorrow. But now we have Oscar Piastri in the middle of those 2 Mercedes cars.
Yeah, indeed. So, very disappointing day for Ferrari as well. Charles Leclerc down in 6th and Sainz in 12th. They were really struggling with the wind, the car being pushed around a lot more than the rest, and also sand became a big thing. So, Q2, we did see Hamilton top the tables there, but in Q3, Max Verstappen, as he should, well, not as he should, but as he has always done this season, finishing up there in first. So, a great race we've got set for us on Sunday, although I think it will be a pretty much pointless race. Max Verstappen, he might well win the driver championship tomorrow in the sprint race should he win that. Or otherwise, actually, there's not much that he has to do to try and get it. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But of course, on Sunday, who will come second essentially is going to be my question, because that is going to be very interesting for the driver championship. His teammate Perez all the way down in 13th. Lots of people querying whether or not he should be in that car seat still. Same as Lance Stroll, of course. Those are the big things we were talking about. So nonetheless, it's great to have you guys all joining us here on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Reece, any final comments from that session?
Well, just really looking forward to the sprint qualifying session tomorrow afternoon, as well as that sprint race as well. Well, that is also taking place tomorrow afternoon. Do be sure to join us for both of those sessions. It's going to be a very, very exciting race weekend.
Cool. Thanks, guys, so much for watching the stream.